TDK taking away Varus, Caitlyn, and Thresh. With a B1 Gragas for Akuma, TDK will get their lock-in of the Lovers bot lane. Well, I say that, there's two of them. There's Senna Lucian, which is not very commonly seen, and there's Zyricon, I think a very, very strong bot lane to be locked in early on.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Are we good now? Nice.
Yep.
All right, sweet. Yeah, I think, definitely Lucian, Senna maybe need some marriage counseling or something. They're not synergizing too hard in the bot lane. Zyricon goes absolutely crazy right now. For a while, people just thought it was, it was just too punishable to be blind pick because, you can lose some laning phases. Zai doesn't have very long range. At this point, people have just thrown that out of the window, and honestly, fair enough, because I think they're extremely strong, especially around mid-game, if you make it there, if you have any kind of lead. They just absolutely rip teamfights to shreds. On the other side, Jinx just got, some pretty big buffs. We've seen that becoming very, very popular in these last few weeks. And paired alongside the Renata, one of those classic enchanter supports. I feel like I've seen less of it recently, but I can see a lot of the value that it might have. Countering a lot of the engage coming over from the side of TDK as the Zek gets locked in as well.
Yeah, that's really surprising to me because, that's what Renata's good at, is countering engage. TDK just lock in kind of the full-on force commit engage jungler in the form of Zac. Coming out of second round of bans, TDK pinching away the top lane pool. These picks are coming out lightning fast.
Yeah, this might be the fastest draft I've ever seen. More dive on TDK Akali, really helping access. If she can get access onto the Jinx, absolutely can rip her to shreds. Only problem here, Poppy and Gragas absolutely shit on everybody on TDK. I mean, Rakan, Zac, Akali all get, knocked up by Poppy, and if you can get the Gragas E and R down on them, they're really not going to have an easy time touching this backline from Akuma. So, I mean, I think that's an incredibly strong Poppy pick here. It looks like we're probably going to be seeing that in the jungle with the K'Sante going top and the Gragas mid against the Akali. That's a totally fine matchup for him. Akali can't really trade super well into assassins because Gragas has a lot of sustain, natural bulk, and if she goes in with E, you can just cancel it out with the body slam, that kind of thing. Olaf, the last pick coming in, is sometimes it can be a pretty good vacuum answer to K'Sante. Can run over. If he gets a strong lead, then he'll be in control of the side lane. But yeah, it's a really fast draft, but basically pretty strong anti-dive from Akuma against the dive team comp on Team Death Knight, so I'm excited to see how that ends up playing out.
Yeah, the Poppy is a great answer here. With R4 Akali locked in, you're basically locked. You basically have 3 dashes that really matter. Rakan's grand entrance, the elastic slingshot from Zac, and then of course Akali with all of her dashes. Can get basically shut out by the steadfast presence from the Poppy. I think it's a really great pickup. And then, of course, with the final lock-in of K'Sante, you see the value in the early Gragas pick, allowing that to be flexed either top, jungle, or mid. Ends up going into the mid lane in this case. So the last pick, Olaf, is kind of a, like you were talking about, the quintessential good laner has an okay laning phase into K'Sante, and then just kind of runs at people. You get the CC immunity from the Ragnarok and just sort of run at them at the speed of sound. But it's hard for a lot of the members of TDK to follow up on Olaf just like wandering in because of the Poppy being used as a tool to dissuade Rakan, Zac, and Akali from getting in.
Yeah, Olaf's gonna be trying to run in, but I don't know how many people are going to be able to follow him if Poppies or Gragas or Renata are all in the right position. K'Sante's got some great peel tools as well, so Akuma really just playing to keep this Jinx alive. Now, you could mention that if you're trying to look for a weakness in this comp, is if Jinx goes down, they kind of run out of damage. In theory, having, this kind of AP bruiser mid lane and then just double tank jungle top. That being said, all 3 of Gragas, Poppy, and K'Sante are known for being tanks that can, put out the damage when they need to. So I'm sure that they, definitely have the ability to try and threaten the Xayah if they need to as well. So yeah, definitely like the draft coming out from Akuma, especially the pick on 4th pick there. Maybe if TDK spent more than about half a second on the bans, they would have seen that one coming, because that one really does hurt the Zac and the Rakan engage there, and that's the counter pick potential I was talking about. When you pick Rakan this early with some of the picks left up, there are stuff. There are things that can do really well into that, and if Rakan can't really find anyone to engage on, he's not quite the same champion, right? You want to have he's really good at accessing, hard to access members, getting on top of them, being super mobile, nimble, kind of hard to deal with. Um, but Akuma definitely have the tools. That being said, Team Death Knights do have a lot of agency on their team to look for plays if they can find the right angles, and if they can get the kill on the Jinx, pretty close to the beginning of the fight, then they can definitely pick up with some of these here.
Yeah. One thing I will note on the side of TDK is that, the majority of their team members really like to move forward in fights. Rakan likes to go forward. Zac obviously is elastic slingshotting into the fights. Akali is looking for backline and access, and Olaf is just like hitting whoever he can. Xayah really prefers to move backwards in fights, looking for more of a kite style on that champion. So there's a tiny bit of dissonance, and if their moving forward style kind of gets shut down by Poppy, it's harder for the rest of them to play the way that Xayah wants to, which is moving backwards. Um, I think that Akuma have a little bit more cohesive as far as their 5v5 goes, but TDK, they do have ways to kind of outplay it. If you stagger the use of your dashes, force Poppy to use the steadfast presence, and then just play the team fights a little bit slower than normally this team comp you would think they would play it, they can kind of maneuver these team fights decently well. So I don't think TDK are out of it just based on team composition, but they do have to play it a little bit more coordinated than they would otherwise.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that even though Akuma are, currently ranked in the middle of the pack based on their win-loss score, they brought in Keyboarder halfway through, and ever since then they've kind of looked like a different team, winning the last two of their series. He's been, Keyboarder on 80 carry has been going crazy. I think he's averaging like 7 or 8 KDA right now, 10 kills a game. So if there's anybody on this team they really want to put the carry power on, I think it should be him. He's shown really well in their games so far, and I would be surprised to not see some good performance out of him today.
Yeah, and as far as like late game carry powerhouses go, I think Jinx is one of the better ones to be on. As far as like the true hyper carries, it's probably Jinx and Zeri are the best ones, with Xayah being like very high carry potential with a little bit more utility, little bit more safety as a counterpoint to it. Um, TDK have banned away in this game Varus and Caitlyn, so a little bit more of the lane dominant carries have been banned away from Keyboarder, probably giving a little bit of that respect that you're talking about to this new coming AD carry for the Akuma Katanas. But yeah, I'm hoping to see some nice Jinx performance and see how well Akuma plays around it. In any case, we're about a minute and a half into the spectator delay, so as we get into that one, we're going to take a short break. We'll get set up for this game number 1, and we'll see you in just a little bit. Thanks for watching, everyone. Internet, hello and welcome back. We're here with game number 1 between the Akuma Katanas and Team Death Knights Blue. Akuma on blue side and TDK on the red side. It's looking like a 5-point from Akuma, and then Team Death Knights looking to kind of stack in this bottom lane. Maybe just get the ward into this middle brush, or just walk up and stand in it. Maybe look for something interesting here. Maybe now they're gonna go for an invade through try. Will be spotted out on a ward, nicely placed by the keyboarder.
Yeah, so a lot of the time you'll see any teams with a ranged bot lane want to go for an early ward in bot rush, so they'll bring a few members down there. Sometimes the support will be alone trying to grab it. Some of the adaptations that I've seen are teams will just go down there anyway, see if they can make a pick. Or both teams will go down there, try and fight for vision. They don't find anybody there because the vision shouldn't matter too much. Jinx and Renata should definitely have, the upper hand in this lane, especially at the first level here. So they're not able to find anything, and a good ward's able to keep them safe. Now it will look like Zach will be pathing up towards topside and Poppy will be pathing down. So it looks like Team Death Knights really want to try and snowball this Olaf, and they see that as, probably their best early game win condition, whereas obviously on the side of Akuma, they want to make sure this Jinx is safe, and they want to make sure she's able to farm. If they can get some kills at the same time, then that'll be great as well.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we do see the Cassante lane swapped into the mid lane by Kimchi on Rice up to match up against the Akali, whereas Gragas seems to be getting a little bit abused by level 1 Olaf. The undertow, just so powerful. You get the reset on it when you pick it back up. It shreds your armor, which is already fairly low at level 1, so you can just kind of chase you down a long lane if you're not respectful of it.
Yeah, and of course, if you're playing Gragas, it's totally fine to just drop, some farm. It shouldn't matter too much. Your role in the game does largely come down to utility. That being said, he does have some sustain too. You don't want to fall too far behind, obviously. But it looks like now Zach might actually be adapting a little bit. He's kind of just sitting down in river. He did a full clear blue side. Possibly waiting to see if Poppy shows up, or waiting for the bot lane on the side of Akuma to overextend. It looks like he's actually going to be looking for a play here, so maybe a little bit...
Yeah, Elastic Slingshot channeled. It's going to force the flash out of trade with the Grand Entrance, and there's a handshake to disengage that one. Meanwhile, Vision of Empire just taking damage from the minions the whole time. Keyboarder turning around with some auto attacks. Ghost burned by Vision of Empire in exchange for flash and heal on the side of Akuma's bottom lane.
Yeah, I think that was the right call to flash out of the Zac there. It's kind of looks like they're trying to catch the bot lane off guard with a little bit of an unorthodox path there from the Zac. They are able to burn the flash, but it doesn't actually help the lane too much, as Keyboarder's already amassed here we
go. Here's a gank. E flash comes out from X Fluke, and there's a wall stun coming in from Miss Her Voice. Now Shins is gonna try and run away there. They're gonna try and hand it off, and it will be first blood over to X Fluke on the side of Akuma.
Yeah, I really like that from Miss Her Voice on the Poppy, heading up towards the top side, knowing that Zach won't be able to be there to respond, and seeing that Olaf's trying to be a little bit more aggressive than he can be without jungle support there. And already, an early death on Olaf is not what you want to see. This champion, when it's behind, just isn't really as useful. You kind of have to be a lane bully on Olaf. You're playing for your, early power. You get your Ravenous Hydra. If you're ahead at that point, you can become a menace. But, if he falls too far behind, the members on the side of Akuma are just going to be too tanky for him to deal with. So I really like seeing that early proactivity from the Poppy there to try and punish the Zac staying on the bot side of the map for so long.
Yeah, and as far as TDK's team comp as a whole goes, I feel like the Olaf, it is an important one to have ahead, because he's really the only one who can safely ignore the disengaged power of Poppy, Renata, and Gragas on the side of AKM.
Yeah, absolutely. So X-Fluke in the top lane. From what I can tell, not quite his normal position, but he seems to be doing pretty comfortable up there. Now, on the other side of the map, despite, you know, the early gank pressure from the Zac, the Jinx bot lane has been kind of, you know, silently destroyed.
Oh, hold on a second. The last slingshot coming in on Kimchi on Rice. Nicely timed. The stretching strike going to pull him back in. But Shrisai has picked up tower aggro, and they're not going to be able to pick up any more on that one. Not having to burn a summoner. Well, actually, I lied. Kimchi did burn the summoner Ghost in order to escape that one.
Yeah, that's what's funny about this kind of lane swap here is normally bring a Ghost to help you maneuver around top lane just being so long. Mid lane is not really not really too useful, but even despite having no flash, he's kind of just able to walk it out just off of some of the natural bulk he has. You know, as I've been trying to say bot lane, usually something comes up right around the same time. But I mean, Jinx is pretty far ahead. They are enjoying this bot lane. Of course, they did have counter pick. But if this Jinx keeps free farming, you know, she's gonna be hard to deal with in this game. And you have to imagine, you know, Team Deathknights are feeling some pressure to maybe try and, you know, set this Jinx far behind. Because, you know, when it comes to team fighting, at this point, you know, after the Zeri nerfs, Jinx is one of the highest range carries in the game. And probably, you know, one of the best scaling as well, especially when it comes to dealing with squishier team comps. So, big threat there is building for the side of Akuma.
Kimchi on Rice nicely trading on Shrisai even despite the Twilight Shroud. Kimchi on Rice does have a third Q ready as well as the all out if he wants to go for the, you know, classic pull the enemy laner into my tower. You can still do that mid lane. And hold on, the elastic extinction coming in. Nice land on the trade, but here comes Mr. Voice. A nice handshake will disengage the bottom lane. Cypher Soul goes very low. The Flame Chomper's on to Saber his waifu, who's able to get away with the battle dance. And the root from Vision of Empire disengages. It's just going to be the flash coming out from Cypher Soul.
Yeah, I think that's a really good mark from the Poppy there, stopping the Jax from being able to get a kill. You know, they did want to come back bot lane at some point and try to punish the flash that they burned on Renata. But it was a really good call there from the Poppy just to be there, just to make sure that nothing can happen to this Renata while her flash comes back up. And now with both summoners on their bot lane, it will be hard for them to find a kill. Meanwhile, in mid lane, I'm going to be honest, I'm still not 100% sure what Katanas does, so I'm going to need you to help me out a little bit there when anything's going on.
So there it's just like an old classic combo for that. I think I've seen most pro players that play K'Sante do it. Where you W forward onto them, it gives you the very brief knockup, and then you third Q, it pulls them behind you as the third Q knocks up, similar to how like Yasuo and Yone third Qs will knock up. But it kind of drags them towards you. Hold on a second, as Mr. Voice is coming in onto Shenzi. There's the Ragnarok to avoid the body slam CC, and he will get the solo kill, and he's trying to turn it around as Mr. Voice only level 5. Not enough burst coming out from Gragas Poppy to really deal with a Ragnaroking Olaf.
Yeah, I think that was a really good call there from Shenzi. I think that was probably the only way he could make it out there, is just with the raw damage. This is going to be really hard to defend. I don't know what he's doing there.
Yeah, just throws in the undertow plus the reckless swing and one-shots the Poppy. Only level 5 on the Poppy, no real defensive stats bought at that time. I think that the Ruby Crystal in his inventory now has just become a Kindle Gem, so was really just sitting on Ionian Boots and Ruby Crystal, so no armor, no extra not really a whole lot of HP, and Olaf's damage really is just something to behold in this early game.
I mean, yeah, I think the Q, what you said, the Q has armor shred, and then, of course, the Olaf E doing the true damage there. I mean, he walked up with 200 health. I mean, he just died instantly. The wave was pretty fat, but that was not the right play to go for. But yeah, I mean, I think X-Fluke trying to come up there and kill Shenzi. Shenzi moving forward, he wasn't really expecting that, so after the Gragas cast goes,
gotta get back on the horse and go for the dive on the bottom side. Mr. Voice looking forward. The wave just not quite prepped in time, so they can't go for the dive as Vision of Empire and Saber's waifu were able to back away safely.
And yeah, but that's one plate going over to the bot lane. They're going to be losing some farm, so that doesn't feel too good there. You know, I think that's a really good opportunity to go for, with Zac not really being able to respond to that. They're going to be able to pick up the dragon as well. So overall, you know, besides that one little blunder top lane, I think It's been a lot of smart decision making coming out of the jungle on the side of Akuma here. And yeah, just making sure the bot lane is nice and ahead. This Jinx is going to be scaling up pretty nicely. Getting early dragons, of course, massive benefit if you can get to the mid game and just have that soul win condition ready to go. You know, that's obviously a huge boost.
Sniper Soul has actually snuck his way into that topside brush, maybe looking for a play onto X-Fluke as soon as he pushes out a little tiny bit more. It'll be pretty difficult though, as Gragas has a lot of ways to disengage a gank between the explosive cast and just being able to body slam out to safety. Srisai moving forward and just trading in on the Kimchi on Rice as the Rift Herald goes down on the top side. They don't really hold on a second. Trade actually getting caught by the grand entrance into the quickness, gets the charm. Saber's waifu unfortunately picks up the kill, but an easy pick off onto the support on the side of Akuma as Rift Herald and two members are just hammering away at this top lane tower.
Oh, but Srisai almost gets caught there, but it looks like he'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, the whole tower goes down topside. You know, even with the jungler on Akuma on the bot side of the map, Trade is just getting caught out there by, of course, the really strong level 6 of the Rakan. Trying to go for, I think, the clear ward or something in the bush there, but just gets blown up right away. So a really good pickoff from the bot lane of TD Knights should have them feeling pretty good. And of course, with the jungle being down on the bot side, freed up the entire top lane tower to fall. And this is the scary Olaf that I was talking about. You know, he fell down 0-1, but now after those 2 kills, the entire tower going over, he's able to pick up that Ravenous Hydra, start stacking it up, and, you know, that's something you really are going to have to play through this game.
Yeah, the Ravenous Hydra first item for the Olaf makes me think he's going to go for kind of this, I don't know how I would describe it, but it's like offensive items plus Jackshaw the Protean, because that's like a build that that any bruiser can really kind of go for. Srisai just continuing to push in onto Kimchi on Rice, continuing to take very nice trades and build up a minion wave here. I don't think that this is necessarily diveable, but is going to be putting pressure there. Shenzi is just going to get this Gromp stolen away. Yeah, a Fluke is going to take it away with one barrel to the face.
Yeah, smart. Work smarter, not harder, says the mid laner here for Akuma, as he's able to pick that one up. But yeah, like you were saying, the power of Ravenous, you know, so much raw damage and healing coming out of it.
Oh, that's the quickness used, but doesn't connect with the grand entrance, so the Rakambo is interrupted just through a little bit of a mechanical misplay from Saber's waifu.
I've never heard it called the Rakambo before, but I think I'm gonna use that one now.
Oh, that used to be the classic terminology for when Rakan was like really big when he first came out in pro play. I love the term.
I think I might be, I don't know, I'm too much of a zoomer. I think Rakan was new when I started playing the game, so I wasn't as in tune with what was going on at the time. But on the other hand, what we got in tune for this game, keyboarder still up a bit of farm, but of course Shenzi is so strong on the Olaf. Like you were saying before, the power of Ravenous comes from a lot of that, you know, bonus AD it gives you off the stacking as well, so much extra stats. From that point on, you know, Olaf has so much healing that you can just build defensive, and he does enough damage with the Ravenous. And of course, having lifesteal and resistances, the synergy there is really strong. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go more defensive. But at the same time, you know, as this game goes on, of course, he'll have a lot harder time, you know, cutting through stuff like, you know, the Poppy and the Cassante and whatnot. So I would not be surprised at all to see him go for Cleaver second, because that item is also super strong, and if you're trying to really shred and do the damage and be a menace to the side lane, that's definitely what you're going to be wanting to look for.
Oh, definitely. Now. Yeah, now they are rotating Shenzi down here to be available for this dragon fight without the need to channel that teleport. X-Luke is answering a minion wave in the top side and will be going for, or will have the Unleashed teleport available to join this fight if they wanted to contest this dragon spawning in about 30 seconds. A lot of vision control for the side of Akuma around this tri-brush, but they do miss out on a little bit of those pick tools, so Looking for an engage here from Saber's waifu, but Mr. Voice looking to deny it with the steadfast presence. I don't know if they know that Shenzi is here, as the Rakan is gonna pop the quickness. Again, misses away on the grand entrance, and the last extinction shot is denied. The Keeper's verdict out the Zac, but the Ragnaroking Olaf is just ripping him apart. First kill, and only so far going on to trade. A lot of ultimates burned, and it's just a 1-for-0, but that will be TDK moving in on the Dragon.
Yeah, I'm not super happy to see that recontested as heavily as it was. Because, I mean, look at topside. You know, Gragas is going to be able to get some plates here. Of course, he could have TP'd into the play if he needed to, but, you know, it's so hard
That's
to
ghost pop by Kimchi. Oh. He's going to go all out, but just before he dodges away from the execution, and it's going to be survive there. I'm honestly just very surprised that Kimchi on Rice didn't die there, going all out already on that low of HP.
Yeah, gl4cia unfortunately completely whiffed the perfect execution there. That would have been able to pick up the kill, but it does go wide left there. And, I mean, yeah, they're able to pick up the Dragon, so, you know, Team Death Knights are feeling pretty good about that. This is when their team comp, you know, is really starting to get strong, you know, like right out of laning phase. You know, you're picking up your first couple items on, like, a Kali.
Alright, here comes Mr. Voice into the bottom lane, spotted out on a ton of wards, so is going to look for something here, is going to go in with the devastating charge in onto Saber is waifu, but it's not going to mean a whole lot, and you see the members of TDK already on the way down to answer, so I think they knew, and they had to like, okay, this is now bad, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, Poppy just doing a little bit of fishing there, but of course, you know, without a lot of the big tools there, that would have been pretty hard to go. Fortune just doesn't quite have, you know, the damage to shred people super fast just about yet. You know, if you're on the side of Akuma here, you don't really have to try and, you know, push for a lead right now, because your team comp should, in theory, have a lot stronger team fighting. If you're able to just keep the game at a neutral state, you know, and let Keyboarder keep farming up on this Jinx, because he's been such a good carry so far, you know, in this league, you know, coming in halfway through the season, being able to win almost all of his games, picking up a pentakill, you know, picking up a lot of wins for his team, really helping them turn the season around. So, just trying to let him farm up. You don't want this game to get too chaotic, because that's exactly what, you know, the champs like Olaf and like Akali, they really thrive in games where they can scrap and they can get in weird positions, you know, they can get all these kills. And if they can get a lead and they end up having too much damage, then, you know, that will be where the problems start to happen for Akuma.
Yeah, Mr. Voice is hatching a ward underneath him. I think they were trying to see if they could bait Saber's waifu to going in on the bottom lane, Keyboarder, and trade. He has been pretty aggressively going for those grand entrance attempts. Rift Herald, soloed up by Shenzi, will be used to take down the second tier tower on the top side. Meanwhile, Vision of Empire and Saber's waifu getting really chunked. Renata Jinx is
they
just...
have to be careful when this tower falls.
Yeah, they get excited on the tower can just mean that Vision of Empire and Saber's waifu die, but they do respectfully back away. The tower will fall, but it's exchanged for the tier 2 on the top side.
Yeah, if you don't mind, can you pop the gold difference for each of these players here? Oh, it looks like we have a TP coming in mid lane.
Yeah, teleport from, it's Fluke actually. Kimchi on Rice is actually on our screen, so I don't know why I thought it might have been his teleport. It's because of the lane swap, it's messing with me.
Yeah, and maybe that lane swap's not looking like such a good idea, because now, I mean, what is that gold lead for Shenzi? He's up to 8,500 gold, picking up the second Rift Herald being dropped there, getting that side lane tower. The second tier just gives you way too much gold. And having picked up all 5 plates, first tower, second tower, 3 kills, he is disgustingly massive right now. He's about 2,000 plus gold ahead of everybody in the game. Just a recalled Swagbot Jack show off of like absolutely nothing. So there's the build you mentioned, but I mean, I feel like at this point, it's going to be so hard to kill. Jinx can't really kill Olaf until a little bit later into the game. You know, once she gets the attack speed, maybe once she gets Infinity Edge or some armor pen, stuff like that. But this Olaf, I mean, they've set it up well. It's turned into such a menace, and you know, this is exactly what you're scared of when the enemy team picks this champion.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Shenzi now that the Jack Show is already picked up. You're getting the defensive stats, you're getting the extra healing after a few seconds of combat. You can go for, you know, more damage items like you're talking about the Black Cleaver, which is super efficient of a bruiser item. Maybe this cloth armor goes in towards a Death's Dance, which I wouldn't mind seeing either. Yeah,
They're looking for
meanwhile, they're gonna
something.
look for a play onto Streetsai. Mr. Voice does get the wall slam, but the invisibility means that Streetsai is able to kind of juke it out. They're keep on going. Mr. Voice does have the Keeper's Verdict. Nice wall stun comes out as well, and now they're looking for more. Streetsai gets denied by the Steadfast Presence, and there's the all-out Streetsai just dashing around, but it will be a kill. A nice little attempt on a juke, but it will be a kill going over to Keyboarder, exactly who you wanted on the Akuma Knights. Alright,
Yeah, I
Akuma
mean,
Katanas.
they have to be honestly kind of happy that Carly kept juking them out there, because getting that kill is, you know, so nice for Jinx to have. And, you know, right before, I mean, yeah, I believe right before Dragon is actually up here, so they're just gonna be able to pick that up. Really, really nice pick, just catching a Akali out, and she's starting to feel a little bit of the pain that playing against the Gragas and the Poppy have when you're trying to play a champion that needs to be able to dash around and get to all these strange places.
Yeah,
Like
Luke going in for the body slam. Shen and Z is
Shen
actually
Z.
going to get pulled in by the Keeper's Verdict, and the recombo is denied again by the Keeper's Verdict. Now Shen Z has made it down, and the Elastic Siege shot's up. Steadfast Presence is not on cooldown. Vision of Empire is just ripping him
Keyboarder's
apart.
dead.
Keyboarder's down, and that'll be a 1-for-0 so far. There's just Cypher Soul just healing up from those splobs. A root onto Kimchi on Rice with the Blade Collar and Vision of Empire. One more auto will do it, but in the back line comes in Streetsai. Vision of Empire dies to the tower. Trade is going to get Ragnaroked on by Shen Z. It's a 1-for-3 in favor of TDK. Maybe a 1-for-4 as Kimchi on Rice does evade the undertow, but the Elastic Siege shot, it's going to be the smite from Cypher Soul that gets the kill.
What a crazy fight there. Starts off with Akuma trying to fish using their man lead that they had. And they were able to get the cast off onto Olaf, but unfortunately, that put this really fed Olaf right where he wanted to be, in the middle of the entire enemy team who does not have enough damage to kill him. The peel there from Rakan hitting absolutely everyone, making sure that this Olaf can stay alive. They do so much damage, they both make it out. And then Cypher Soul and Vision of Empire towards the back half of the fight, able to layer off all of their AoE onto the enemy team, picking up a massive team fight for them and helping them slingshot really far ahead in this game.
Yeah, pick up the mid tower. They pick up 4 for 1, I think, at the end of the day. Cypher Soul now has the Radiant Virtue in his inventory. If Shenzi wasn't hard to kill before, now he's healing for a percentage of the Zax's max HP every 3 seconds. It's just going to be so much harder. And it's not to say that you should be building Grievous Wounds, but like the fact that you don't have it means that healing is full value. You do have 1 Grievous Wounds. Fluke has it on the Oblivion Orb. But this is going to be really tough. I think Shenzi is enough of a force that if Akuma are not playing perfectly around it, it's just going to be a bad time because Keyboarder can't get through him faster than he can kill Keyboarder.
I mean, yeah, that's just the thing. That's the problem with Jinx. You know, if you're really looking at what some of her weaknesses are as a champion, you know, when you're trying to fight these heavy front lines, you don't really have armor pen in your kit. It's going to be taking a long time for you to try and cut through some of these tankier members, especially until you get stuff like the LDR and the Infinity Edge, which she relies on so much to do damage. And even though, you know, she has a small lead, you know, a nice little cute lead over the Xayah that has absolutely nothing on the absolutely disgustingly large lead that Olaf has been able to build on the other side of the map in the order of about 3,000 or 4,000 gold over the solo laners of Akuma. So for now, they're really just going to want to try not to let this Olaf snowball too much more, and try to, you know, hopefully make it later into this game and try and get Keyboarder some extra items, and just maybe they're going to be able to pick up some of these kills on the top side of Team Death Knights.
Yeah, so this is something I maybe you know, but I definitely don't. If Poppy channels the Keeper's Verdict, but doesn't like fire out the second part, the part that knocks up, does she activate the Radiant Virtue healing for her teammates?
I have no clue, but I think you get a refund. So if I had to guess, you don't. I'm pretty sure it goes off on the second part.
Okay. Just curious because that was something I was going to bring up, is that, you know, the Radiant Virtue is very good on these champions like the Zac, who are naturally going to be ulting at the start of a fight. Poppy doesn't necessarily want to ult at the start of a fight. Yeah, you can use it to try and isolate members of TDK, kick out some of the more important ones, but that's not necessarily going to be available at the start of every fight. And if you're using it as a knockup, you're looking for a more opportune time because the knockup radius is deceptively small if you don't fully charge it. So I don't know if the Radiant Virtue is necessarily what you want on this Poppy for AKM. It's only going to get value in particular fights. Meanwhile, 3 members have been snuck their way in here. A nice deny on the Steadfast Presence, but it will be the charm on a trade. Trade is going to throw it on the ultimate, and it will be nobody going down. A teleport drawn out from Kimchi on Rice.
I mean, they're just trying to create some of the control, and, you know, they got what they needed, because, like I said before, when you're this Jinx, you can't really walk through the choke when you don't know where the Akali is, or you don't know where the Zac is. But it looks like they're going to try.
Kind of scary there. Shenzi just kind of face check into 3 people, but I think everyone on the side of Akuma is a little bit too scared. But Shenzi now chunked down to below half HP. Elastic Slingshot being channeled. They do have the Poppy there. Mr. Voice, nice deny from the Steadfast Presence and slams him into the wall. But the Ragnarok is running in the backside. Saber's Waifu knocks up 2. Cypher Soul is just healing him up with the Radiant Virtue into the backline again with the Elastic Slingshot. As Keyboard takes down Saber's Waifu, but Vision of Empire in the backside is throwing down the feathers. Very, very low HP. Trade finally falls. Now here we go. Mr. Voice slams one in. Elastic Slingshot takes out the Keyboarder, and the Blast Cone is denied. A double kill for the Zac, as Saber's Waifu is the only one who falls on the side of TDK in exchange for 3 members of Akuma.
I mean, I feel like Akuma did what they could there. You know, they got the stop on to the Zac. The Renata came in clutch to help keep Jinx alive from the Akali, and Keyboarder was able to stay alive for so long using the flash to dodge out of the Rakan combo, and she's able to keep hitting, but she just doesn't have the damage yet to really kill anyone. She was able to get 1 person, but, you know, after that, that was it. And meanwhile, on the other side, Vision of Empire picking up the Navori, so much stronger at 2 items than the Jinx with the Infinity Edge, is able to do a lot of work, you know, despite some of the lead that, you know, the Keyboarder might have had before. So a really hard team fight, you know, when you're down so much gold. And they're just gonna, you know, they're just gonna have to hang tight. They're gonna have to keep scaling up and hoping for Team Death Knights at this point to make a mistake. If they make a mistake, you know, we could see that, you know, 850 gold from Olaf going over to Jinx. You know, that's 700 gold from Zac going over to Jinx, and suddenly this game looks a lot different. So that's kind of what they're gonna be hoping for. If it's a fair fight, I do not like Akuma's odds.
Yeah, a relevant of note is that we are playing on patch 13.6. This is a live game, so the Navori Quick Blades is ever so slightly nerfed. It's 12% of the remaining cooldown rather than the full 15%. Meanwhile, Saber's Waifu gets wall stunned, and the Elastic Slingshot goes in for Kimchi on Rice. Not going to full commit for this one. Shenji just going to throw down a little bit of damage, get knocked up, but not a whole lot to come out from the Cassante just yet. Streetstar, meanwhile, is pushing in the bottom side with the Unleashed Teleport available, with Fluke able to match. Streetstar moving up towards the Baron area as the teams are starting to fight around it. Shenzi does have the finished Death's Dance and the Infinity Edge finished off for Keyboarder. Did not have it for the last fight, so will be a fair bit more damage than last fight, but still very difficult to chew through. Cypher Soul and Shenzi just so tanky on these bruiser frontliners.
I mean, yeah, if I'm Jinx and I'm pressing tab and I'm seeing, you know, this Fed Bruiser, he has Jack Show, he has Death's Dance, he has Tabbies. I mean, you really can't expect Keyboarder to be able to kill him. It's going to have to be a team effort. They're going to have to be...
Alright, yeah, but they're going to make a team effort onto Shenzi here. Shenzi does still have the Ragnarok, and now he's just continuing to lay into him. The Steadfast Presence was already used, so the Elastic Slingshot, there's no way to stop it if he wants to go for it. Ragnarok is channeled. They're going to get pushed out by the charge from Mr. Voice, and here's the ultimate. Shenzi is going to just start beating on the Vision of Empire with that ultimate running, and now Fluke on the backside. They don't have the Ragnarok. Shenzi now, though, turns his attention onto Fluke, and they're gonna back away. Nobody's gone down.
Dude, Shenzi with Ragnarok, he's not Thor, he's Thanos. They can't kill him. He's way too tanky. He's sitting in the middle of basically the entire team on Akuma for multiple seconds there, and they're just not able to cut through the amount of healing, the amount of resistances that he has. And, you know, they try and look for the play, and, you know, maybe that's what they needed to go for, but, you know, Team Death Knights, they were able to back him up soon enough, get him out of that
Empire,
fight.
though, is now coming around the side. Fluke gonna be dodging away from that one as Streetside goes in. Kimchi on Rice is now the focus. Trade pushing him away. Streetside going in on the X-Fluke, and he will use the perfect execution. A zap connects on the Vision of Empire as the Baron is taken, or is aborted. But I want to give a lot of credit to Mr. Voice on that play, attempted play onto Shenzi. The Steadfast Presence wasn't available, but is able to use the Poppy E to interrupt the Elastic Slingshot. I think if that Elastic Slingshot lands where it was aimed, then Akuma just gets wiped there. So really nice deny from Mr. Voice in spite of not having that W available. Nobody ends up dying, and the Baron is not taken, so overall, I would say a win for Akuma.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they really just want to try and, you know, make this game as hard to progress as possible for Team Death Knights. Because, I mean, the last Whisper's getting picked up for the Jinx now, and, you know, for a while, you know, she had really no hope of being able to cut through Olaf or Zac, but, you know, once that gets picked up, you're getting some armor pen, you're getting that Giant Slayer on these characters with, like, 4,000 health plus, it's so much extra damage. And of course, the longer this game goes on, you know, Olaf's not going to really be getting that much stronger from this point on, even though he's so strong right now. It doesn't seem like much, but
oh here we go.
God,
that's a really nice flash shot from Saber's wife, who gets a knock up in. Elastic Seizure coming out, but that's a really nice ultimate, and Trade is the first one to fall though. Srisai in the backside, and meanwhile in the Ragnarok, he just can't die. He's keeping it alive. He will finally get shut down by Kimchi on Rice, but the rest of them are coming forward. The Gale Force into the Featherstorm comes out from Vision of Empire for the double kill on the keyboarder, and Fluke is just running away down the enemy lane, just trying to survive through the jungle. It's going to be 2 for 2 at the end of the day. Not super bad, but it looked like quite the win for TDK.
Yeah, TDK with an absolutely sexy engage on the Rakan hits 4 or 5 members. The follow-up's just a little bit hard though. You know, Xayah wasn't really able to start doing damage until later in that fight when she was able to Gale Force in and start hitting people that way. But they were finally able to kill the Olaf with all 5 members hitting him for what seems like half an eternity. They're able to kill him. Srisai got chunked out really fast trying to do stuff at the beginning of that fight. I believe got taken out by, I want to say Xayah getting hit by Renata or something like that. I was able to pick her off when she was pretty far away. But either way, I mean, they just get the Baron there. So even though it was only a 2 for 2, you know, they got what they really wanted. They wanted to start a fight and be able to fight this objective. Now they're going to be looking for Dragon.
Yeah, Street Fight just coming forward and forcing Mr. Voice back by his very presence. This is only a level 13 Poppy compared to level 15 on the opposite jungler, Cypher Soul. 404 is doing quite well. The Sunfire Kate, Thornmail, and Radiant Virtue in his inventory. Now the Explosive Casket can be invested, and they're going to go in onto Shenzi, who just pops the Ragnarok. Nice deny on the Steadfast Presence, but in the backside, all out onto Saber's Wife. And now there's a big ultimate coming out from the Renata, but the CC immune Ragnarok will finally fall, and now we've got the Jinx excited. Vision of Empire goes in, double kill, goes over the Dragon, and now it's Kimchi on Rice. Streetside gets in the backside, takes down Trey, but Keyboarder is just resetting. Vision of Empire gonna fall as well. There's the blast, the shutdown. Jinx is getting them all. 5 for 2 in favor of Akuma.
From what, to 8,000 gold behind, TDK get absolutely destroyed in that team fight. They were just not able to get onto the major damage source of Akuma. The Jinx finally picking up that LDR. You can see what a massive difference that just made. You know, the Chovy's chains being picked up by the Olaf there. You know exactly who that's going to be going on. But now, this is what I was talking about. Look at the gold on the Jinx. She is now the most fed player in the game after one fight. It's completely turned on its head. And Akuma are now in control.
Holy cow. Yeah, they're still down about just a little under 5,000 gold, but now you've got your win condition. You know what an ideal fight looks like for the side of Akuma. I mean, not that they didn't know before, you know, exactly what just happened. Jinx starts to get resets, Shenzi's not able to finish him off on his own. Really nice deny by Mr. Voice, and a great ultimate from Trade just stalls the remaining members so that all the members of Akuma can just help Keyboarder focus down Shenzi. Not only does that eliminate the biggest threat onto the Jinx, but it also gets the Jinx excited to start taking out the remaining 4 members of TDK.
I mean, just think back at how insanely well Poppy played that last fight. With right away, you know, it looked like CCS had a great angle, but hitting that ultimate right away completely eliminates Akali from the fight. And, you know, they start off 5v4, which is already really nice. And then the Steadfast Presence blocks the engage from literally everybody on the side of TDK. I think it got, what, like 3 stuns, and from there they really didn't have any gas left in the tank to threaten Keyboarder, who is now able to actually start killing the members of TDK.
Alright, it is soul point for Akuma. They get that dragon as well as the push mid lane off of that very, very big team fight. In about 3 minutes, we will have the fight for Dragon Soul for Akuma. The Hextech Soul, quite powerful, just being able to AoE slow the members of TDK upon dealing damage.
Yeah, if they're able to get that, it's really nice to have. It'd be even nicer to have for the side of TDK. So they're definitely going to want to be trying to fight over that, denying that, maybe get them for themselves. But they're going to need a good setup to try and break past this Poppy, who's able to cause, you know, such massive problems for them in the last team fight. They really have to reevaluate how they want to approach these.
Yeah, and look at Keyboarder off of that fight. Recall picked up a full Bloodthirster. If it wasn't already difficult to kill the Jinx, as evidenced by that last fight, it will be nigh on impossible now, assuming that Mr. Voice, Trade, and Fluke are playing to peel. This Jinx should just kind of run away with the fight.
Yeah, and that's to think that she doesn't even have Runons yet into a team with 4 melee characters. I have to imagine she's going to be trying to go for that with the 5th item, and from there, if Poppy's able to stop anyone from getting onto her, the team fights are going to be over real fast. That being said, the extra survivability, I think, is a really good pickup. Just making sure, you know, if something happens, Akali can't quite, you know, maybe get the same one-shot on you if you're getting a lot of the healing and a lot of the shielding from the Bloodthirster. So, of course, super valuable item there. That being said, Vision of Empire also at 4 items, really strong. I mean, by no means are TDK out of this game. They have a lot of strong members on their team. They have to find the right fights, though. Because, you know, as it stands, Vision of Empire versus Keyboarder in these fights, you know, Jinx just has so much more range. And it's going to be a lot harder for Zai to approach and do damage without taking a lot herself. And that's kind of, you know, the weakness of what I was saying before, how you might want to exploit Zai in an early pick draft like that.
Yeah, and a lot of this does, again, have to do with, not have to do with, but it just kind of shows that in these fights where TDK's, you know, top side is so very focused on trying to get into the backside and kill Keyboarder, it's a little bit difficult for Vision of Empire because, the front side of Akuma, Kinchion Rice, Mr. Voice, and Fluke are naturally gonna move backwards to try and help Keyboarder focus down those melee champions that are diving onto him. It gets really difficult for Vision of Empire to get feathers to the opposite side when they're moving away from the Xayah, so that you can get those very impactful blade callers. TDK, you know, their AD carry wants to move backwards in fights, but their front side wants to move forwards. I don't know, like, how good of a champion it is, but, like, Kaisa is, for example, is an AD carry that likes to move forwards alongside her front line and just go for dives on the AD carry. Xayah really much prefers to play a lot more front to back with a front line that wants to play for her as opposed to play for killing the AD.
I mean, that's also the theory behind, you know, if you pick up the Ghost, maybe you can still go for a lot of chase kills before she gets the movement speed on the W. But you're totally right. You know, it is a lot harder at this point for Vision of Empire to do the same amount of damage that Keyboarder is doing when both teams are playing optimally. But now with this Drake up, Fluke is probably going to be teleporting in just a second.
Yeah, but CCS is already here, looking for a flank angle. It's going to get spotted out by Mr. Voice almost immediately as Shenzi is just taking aggro from the dragon. CCS gonna have to use that Twilight Shroud, so it will be down for the next few seconds. So this would be a good time when that tool is not available. Shenzi gonna get slowed up, and now they're gonna put a little bit of punishment in onto the Olaf for moving forward like that. Vision of moving forward. Nice root in onto Fluke. He'll be able to heal it back up. CCS now meanwhile is just gonna fight in onto Kimchi on Rice on the top side. They're just fighting over control of the mid lane wave. Saber's waifu gonna get spotted out by Mr. Voice, but he will dodge away from the hammer shot. Keyboarder moving forward. Now they've got control of the river. Vision of Empire pushed out by the Gragas, and the dragon is started up. Kimchi on Rice getting zoned out by Streetside. Elastic Sphere channeled is going to be denied by the body slam. There's the let's bounce with the Radiant Virtue in the backside. Is the knockup. Comes in. Keyboarder flashes over the wall. Now they're going to try and focus him down. Trade has already fallen, and Fluke is getting focused down by Saber's wife. Mr. Voice. Keyboarder just doesn't have a way to fight, and it gets taken out by Streetside, who just gets over the wall with the perfect execution to finish off Mr. Voice as well. Kimchi on Rice, the only one alive. Fluke, I lied, is over there hiding in the alcove. Gonna get spotted out by Saber's waifu, but it will be a 3-for-0 fight for TDK.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. That's the angle that they need to go for. You know, a good block by the Poppy, but now that Zach is out of the fight, there's still other members that you have to deal with in that position. From Akali, from Rakan there, was able to get onto the Jinx, who's kiting away, kiting into their warm, welcoming arms as they're able to get the pick off to him. He did have a good flash for a second, but by then the damage was already done. The fight was losing. And I really like to see that, you know, the fact that they have so much engaged on this team. They figured out how to try and play around the Poppy W. And now if you're Akuma, you're going to have to play more cohesively. You know, that was a bit of a risky fight to take there, and of course from that position Jinx really didn't have a great place to go. Played that about as well as she could, but yeah, you're just gonna have to be a little bit more conscious. You know, where could the member of TDK be? Because at any moment you have to be expecting, you know, a flash engage from the Rakan, you know, big elastic slingshot, you know, Kali coming out of a bush behind you. You're never quite sure unless you have the vision, unless you have that information.
That's not what you want!
Oh my god, he just gets absolutely destroyed there, walking through to his team, just getting a bit too, you know, letting down his guard. That's gonna be a big mistake there.
Yeah, that's like we were talking about this in Champions Select, but if the Jinx goes down, where's the rest of the damage in this team composition?
40 seconds, yeah. They could just try and go for the end here.
Streetside
putting back in, yeah.
Okay, teleports onto the minion quite a little bit away. They're just gonna use the explosive cast to try and push them off, but they're focusing onto the towers here. Streetside threatening trade to force them back, and the all-out is gonna be used. They're focusing into Shenzi, with Shenzi just turns around and starts beating on the trade. Will go down, however. Mr. Voice coming forward, pushing away Vision of Empire. Vision of Empire pulls the feathers back. Kimchi on Rice is still all-outed. X-Fluke is gonna go in with the body slam. Gale Force forward, and Vision of Empire rips the feathers back and takes down 2. Double kill for the Saya, who flashes in onto Fluke. Fluke will be a triple kill, focusing down the towers. But here comes Keyboarder. They're very low. Elastic Station going to be used, and it will connect. And now Keyboarder on the run, stretching strikes and just annihilates them. It'll be TDK taking game 1 over Akuma.
Really well done by TDK there. What a back and forth game there. You know, really strong lanes coming out of top side. The Olaf pick there really instrumental in getting this team through to the mid game. And then once we get to those late game fights, you know, Akuma had a really amazing fight, down so much gold, and they were able to get the items that they wanted on Jinx, but that's when TDK started to find their fights. They used the mobility and the engage power on their team to be able to pick off Jinx in 3 consecutive fights there. And, you know, without the support of her team, she's just not the, you know, the same kind of carry threat, especially when she's dead and looking at the gray screen. So really well done by TDK there to keep their composure and close out this game 1.
Yeah, really, really impressive play from Streetside on that dragon fight that they won. Forces the Jinx to flash over the wall, and from there, you don't need to chase the Jinx. She's already not in the fight, not dealing damage, so goes back and helps to focus down the rest of the members of Akuma Katanas with the rest of the team, and that means that, you know, if Jinx ever comes back into the fight, you know, her front line's already dead. Now you have a free access point. So TDK, or Team Death Knights Blue, will be taking game 1 over Akuma Katanas. We're going to take a short break while we set up for game 2. Will Akuma Katanas be able to tie it up, or will TDK take it in 2-0? See you in just a little bit. Thanks for watching, everyone.
begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving.
Internet, hello and welcome back to the Classic Championship Series Advanced League Week 6. We're here for game number 2 between the Akuma Katanas and Team Death Knights Blue. After Team Death Knights Blue's win in game number 1, Akuma does have side selection. They've elected to stay on the blue side. I don't know if we mentioned it at all during game number 1, but TDK had side selection. They opted for the red side, so we will be seeing the same sides for these two teams. TDK, of course, one game up. Bans are coming out pretty similar so far, except for now we're going to see the Olaf ban a little bit too much out of Shenzi for Akuma to handle. They don't want to deal with it in this game too.
Yeah, that's going to be their adaptation coming in. You know, the draft looks a little bit similar so far. The Seraphine, ban is kept over from last game, and the Varus and the Caitlyn, both pretty solid bans to have just because they're, they can be so strong, so versatile. When in the right hand, you have to imagine people in the right hands to put them in. So just banning those away makes it so their bot lane can play a little bit more sound. They don't have to worry about getting rolled over too hard. The Swain ban will also be kept over from last game. This will be leaving up the Udyr, which they did ban last time. Of course, Udyr, not at all like Zach from the last game. Zach really wants to, try and make plays happen, and he's not really the best farmer, but he has a lot of engage power. Meanwhile, Udyr doesn't really have any engage power at all, but he's a completely, disgusting stat staking. Now 380 carry bans going over. But the Jinx is still left open, so, Thresh coming over here, you have to imagine if it's over for Akuma, they're just going to want to opt for it again. On the side of Team Death Knights, you have to think, do we want to deny them from getting this pick? And if they do, what will Akuma end up going for?
Yeah, with the Xayah ban instead of the Thresh that we saw from game 1, it is enough power for Akuma to consider a B1 pick, but now TDK, they get their chance to maybe take the Jinx away from Akuma, and then Akuma are kind of pinched a little bit as far as AD carries go. Could go to the Zeri, is a little bit less powerful as far as the early game goes. They are going to block in Annie. This is a flex between mid and support. Very powerful champion in both positions, but it will be the Udyr that was banned away in game number 1, so both of these teams taking away what was banned in game number 1 that has been left open in game 2.
Yeah, and it's going to be a different look for both teams. I have to imagine, Annie supports a great flex if they end up wanting to flex it, but into Thresh, it's not terrible because if you can get if you get the onus, if you can get the pick, Thresh isn't really a super tanky champion, so if you're able to just walk up, get the stun, that kind of thing, you have a lot of damage, a lot of utility. Just an overall really strong support right now, matches up pretty decently into the Thresh, and of course the Udyr being picked up, and it looks like something, they're pretty happy to have their hands on, but now you're looking at a comp with, a lot less dive threat. They don't have the Rakan and the Zac from last game that they had at this point in the draft. And the Jinx picked up with Thresh, who arguably helps make her even safer with that extra Dark Passage, Flay, that kind of thing. So, so far, Keyboarder looking a lot happier to play Jinx in this game, at least so far. And the Jarvan being picked up for Coffee, he's going to like that one. We saw he's a very smart, very proactive player who wants to get around the map and help his team. Jarvan's perfect for that. He's in a really good spot right now. He clears camps really fast. He has some good builds. So I like seeing that picked up, and it actually does pretty well into, the entirety of TDK so far, who don't really have any easy ways to escape the Cataclysm or the EQ ganks once they come down. That being said, Veigar picked up super strong right now. I believe he got nerfed on the current patch, if I'm not mistaken, so that will knock him down a peg or so, but those last quality of life changes helped him so much, really help play him. He's even stronger in the bot lane. You can play him two ways. Extra range definitely helps a lot for him. So, strong pickup there for TDK.
Yeah, Veigar, you're correct. He hit a lot of hits to his durability as a result of, just being a little bit too strong for a little bit too powerful scaling. We're going to ban away top laners from the side of TDK, similar to how they did in game number 1, and Akuma going to take away those the knockup brothers, Yasuo and Yone, like they did in game number 1 as well. So now TDK, with the Veigar already locked in, you basically got 3 champions with no dashes up against Cataclysm. Tristana will be locked in, and this is very interesting because, like you're talking about, Veigar can go into the bottom lane, or it could be mid lane, and Tristana can go to the opposite one, whichever one the Veigar isn't going to end up in. Akuma now, they are gonna have to kind of guess as to what this is. Although ultimately, I think the Jarvan, like you were talking about, great pick. Cataclysm will can be used like not only as a catch tool but also as a peel tool on the Udyr. You see the Udyr running at your Jinx, you just put him in the baby cage. The Galio layered on top of it with the Cataclysm into the hero's entrance is just a nigh on guaranteed damage and CC and peel power for this Jinx. I like it. Again, the Akuma are kind of putting themselves into a position where the Jinx has to carry, because overall their damage is a little bit limited outside of this Jinx, unless they pick in something like a Gwen here. Oh, hey, surprise!
Yeah, I guess they're a little bit scared from last game, just wanting to make sure that they have the damage. So Jarvan Galio, we know it's a fine, combo. We've seen it before. I am very concerned though, because if I was TDK right now, I would be putting this Tristana mid and this Veigar bot lane. Veigar just can match up into Jinx a lot easier, has the range to reach her, whereas Tristana kind of just has to jump in on her face. Tristana has a fantastic matchup into Galio, basically completely stomps lane. You should expect for a champion that scales so well, that's something you really want to have. And with the jump that she has, Jarvan can't really threaten her when she goes mid lane either. So I'd be very surprised to honestly see them not try and flex that towards mid. But we'll see what ends up happening here. The Jax picked up into 5. I do like that as an answer, because Akuma's team comp is very, very based in auto attacks for their damage. So you get a lot of value from the counter strike there. And if you're just able to, jump in and shred the right targets, I mean, Jax can be such a strong pick.
Yeah, a lot of, frankly, just a lot of damage threat coming out from TDK. It's a lot easier to execute on their team comp, in my opinion, just because one of your carries can be, focused down and killed off, but Akuma gonna have to, they're gonna have to play a lot more carefully around keyboarder, similar to game number 1, whereas Veigar, Tristana, Jax, even Udyr to a lesser extent can be very threatening. Udyr's damage just has been nerfed over a few patches, but with the Demonic Embrace and Phoenix Stance build, which I hope that we'll see out of Cypher Soul as opposed to more AD heavier builds, which I think are generally speaking less effective. But it'll be interesting to say the least. The Annie support, it's there. It's like just generally good. It's not like outstanding in this team composition, especially because it is yet another target for the Cataclysm to go on that just doesn't have a way to get out. But you still have Molten Shield, you still have your stuns. It's still like a useful pick.
Yeah, Annie is very flexible right now, which is why she's so good. You don't really have to rely on her being the same, one-shot damage machine that you did in past seasons when she wasn't nearly as popular. So looking at both these teams, Akuma, have a pretty standard, team fight kind of comp where they, they want to get the combos down. They want to get Gwen hitting those needles. They have the Thresh Jinx pairing, obviously super strong at most stages of the game. And if you look at the side of TDK, you can't help feel that they're not quite as cohesive as a team. There's not really a set identity, but in this case, maybe they don't need one as much, because they have a lot of decent lane matchups. They got counter pick top lane, they have a counter matchup mid lane if they opt into it, and they got the jungler that they wanted. Udyr still, can do a lot of work this team. He's still into 3 melee champions, so he can make it happen. If he gets any kind of lead early, like I said, Jinx doesn't really kill the tanks too easily. We'll see what they end up picking mid lane here in a second, because I'm really curious if they do actually end up opting into that flex and trying to play through mid lane this game.
Yeah, I guess when I said that they have an easier comp, I guess it means, like, they're a lot scrappier, I think they benefit a lot more from having these kind of very weird team fights as opposed to more like front to back. I think TDK will probably not win, just because their front line is not as structured. They don't have as much utility as far as Udyr and Jax goes. They're basically relying on Veigar to be in range to set down the event horizon and give them the space to auto attack without getting just melted by Akuma.
Okay, I am pretty sad to see Veigar opting into the Galio there. Tristana matchup is fantastic, but maybe it's just not something that they prepped for or were comfortable for. Now, I will say, I am not really a big fan of Tristana as an AD carry right now. That can play into some of my bias there. I just think that she doesn't have a very easy time, doing a lot of stuff she wants to do in lane. If they can get ahead with Tristana, she can be pretty strong, but, actually being able to jump on top of people, get in range of the Jinx, especially with the Thresh layer, it's going to be very hard. And then going in later to the game, she doesn't quite, have the same scaling threat that, someone like the Jinx or the Zarya or the Xayah actually end up doing. Oh, they're trading?
I swapped.
We don't know for sure. It definitely just should be Tristana mid. That's my personal opinion. So I guess they're playing with their opponents. I believe you do have to have them locked in by 20, so it looks like it will be the Tristana mid. Galio has an unplayable matchup there. It'll be hard to gank her. It'll be hard to lane against her. So it's going to be a team effort from the side of Akuma to shut down this Tristana if TDK play it correctly.
Yeah, there's another little nice thing I wanted to mention. It slipped my mind a couple times now when I was like, oh, I should say this. Jarvan's standard still gives attack speed, and it's actually quite a bit as the game goes on. That's really nice for champions like Jinx and to a lesser extent the Gwen. So it's a nice little bit of additional synergy, of course, with the Cataclysm and the Galio. It's just a nice pick, this Jarvan for the side of Akuma. But overall, I take it that you would rather be playing Akuma's team comp in this game.
Honestly, I don't think so personally. I think it's just, they have a lot of strong lane matchups for the side of TDK, and it's going to be hard for, especially earlier on, for the side of Akuma to look for, the fights that they're going to want to end up finding. Jarvan's going to want to be a lot more proactive, so we'll see what he's able to do, but, they really have to play through their sides this game, whereas, the side of TDK, they have to be quite happy with, some of their lanes. Udyr is going to be able to farm. They're going to have, mid shove. It's going to be kind of hard for Akuma to get to the places on the map that they want to get to and, fight over some of those objectives. So we'll see what ends up happening in this game. I'm excited to see how TDK play a comp, which is an extreme departure from their last one. Same with Akuma picking a lot more, engaged playmaking for themselves as well.
All right. Well, we have about a minute and a half left on the spectator delay. We're going to get set up for this game number 2. Again, TDK with 1 game up. If they win this one, they take the series. We're almost through the regular season. This will be the 2/3 point, if I'm not mistaken. So every win towards this end really, really counts. So Akuma need to win this one to tie it up and then win another one to take the series. We'll be getting set up for that one, so don't go anywhere, and we'll see you after just a little bit. 2 between the Akuma Katanas and Team Death Knights Blue. Akuma down 1 game to TDK. They're gonna be the ones who kind of 5-man into this side. With the Galio and a Thresh,
might
I
run into
definitely
him.
see this being valuable, but they are gonna get spotted out. Nigh immediately, but they will get the ward. It does unfortunately go over to trade. If a solo laner gets that, I think they can hit level 2 off of the first wave, kind of surprise you and get a kill there. Is Vision of Empire actually gonna get spotted out by the Demacian Standard?
If I'm not mistaken, I think with 5 people there, too much of the XP from the ward gets split for it to matter too much.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Alright, I've just been informed that I am incorrect. But either way, just being able to get rid of that ward is a nice little help for the bot lane of Akuma, who does want to, try and play around bush control to leverage this basically melee into range support matchup. They do spot out Shenzi trying to do some shenanigans there, but like I was saying before, I'm very happy to see this Tristana end up in the mid lane because she does have a lot of control over this lane, and of course Veigar is one of the few champions who really can actually access Jinx, especially, if you have opportunities to land cages on her in lane. She can't really get out of them. The Dark Passage won't help you too much there. So I am a fan of how that goes, and of course, once it does get to the objective fights, that's so much zone control from the Veigar and from the Annie, and really from a lot of the team here, because it's gonna be hard for Akuma to try and run into an Udyr with the amount of tankiest AoE damage he ends up having later into the game. A Shenzi, it's a really big trade topside.
Yeah, nice counter-strike there. I don't know if you, Glacial, or any of you viewers at home, or were watching LCS playoffs yesterday, but hold on a second, is trade? No, good stun by Saber's waifu to deny the level 2 aggression, but 100 Thieves picked Jinx Thresh 3 games in a row and lost all 3 games to FlyQuest. 2 of those 3 games were because Veigar is just such a monster. So, hope, if you're an Akuma fan, that this game does not go similarly to that series.
I have to say, it will be a lot harder to ban out Coffee in the jungle than it will be to ban out Closer, because I think it's just, yeah, I've seen Coffee as a really wide champion pool. He can really bring out the best champion, and looks like he's on one of his main comforts this game. So we'll see what he does. Both junglers are opting for a full clear, while Jarvan's clear is pretty fast. Right now, Udyr is outpacing him pretty heavily, as he's going to be making his way up towards the top side while Jarvan looks down at the bot side. It will be kind of hard for them to look for anything in this lane position here, so it looks like Jarvan will just come down, apply some pressure, and then just end up going to grab.
Might be looking for a 3-man
Ooh,
dive on top
dive.
side as you see CCS and CypherSoul making their way up there as Shenzi going for an early jump on him. Meanwhile, the Event Horizon goes down in the bottom lane. Kimchi on Rice doing a nice job of pushing the wave away from the tower to deny the opportunity for the dive. I think they knew, and flame from Trade into the Dark Passage comes in. Great combo from Trade and Miss Her Voice. The flash play into the Flag and Drag into a death sentence on the knocked up target. Amazing. First blood going to be handed over to the keyboarder. Meanwhile, CypherSoul going to get blast coned away from Fluke, but wow, just really great Thresh play, and B1 Thresh. That's what Akuma opted for.
Not even. He's looking
Gonna
again.
try again. Death Sentence is gonna connect in the Dark Passage. The Flame Jumpers don't quite connect, but the Flag and Drag will, and Vision of Empire will fall down as well. A flash away from the tower from Mr. Voice to avoid getting stunned by the Event Horizon, but well worth it for denying this wave as well as a second kill onto your Jinx.
Not even 4 minutes into the game, they're already regretting banning this Thresh, right? So I was about to say that. They just go and look again, and that is, that is really well done from him, punishing the fact that the bot lane from TDK doesn't really have a lot of mobility. They have to play at range, they have to play safe. They cannot let, Thresh look for these plays, but he was able to find them, perfectly executed, hitting the flays, the hooks, getting Jarvan in there with the lantern as well to hit the EQ. It's so much damage, so much CC, and a big fight top lane.
Into the Kimchi! Kimchi gets a fully stacked needlework onto, or not needlework is her ultimate, but it's the Q. She gets the fully stacked snip onto Shenzi and just annihilates him in the trade for the solo kill top lane. This game is looking quite good for Akuma.
Yeah, I mean, Jax really wants to look for, those early trades, and he thought that he, might have had it there. But of course, when the Snip has the fully charged on it, so much damage and healing, coming in that quick burst, I don't think Shenzi was expecting that. That being said, it's not the worst thing ever for him. The wave is just about neutral, but that extra gold does hurt him a lot in his ability to trade. That being said, he has the Sheen now. We'll see if the lane matchup ends up swinging in any direction after that. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Xcube is doing a little bit better than I thought he would be at this point. Both of them are farming it out, but CCS hasn't really been able to pressure Galley off of any of these minions yet. Hasn't really been able to threaten an all-in, burning some of that kind of thing. Kimchi on Rice has the
Shinzi just
ultimate
aggressively leap striking in. Kimchi on Rice does in fact have the needlework available, but there we go. There's the Grandmaster's at Arms ability available for Shenzi now. So both ultimates available for this top lane if they wanted to go for a little bit of a brawl. Nice dodge on the death sentence, but the flag and drag will connect. Meanwhile, on the top side, the flay comes out from trade. Not top side. Sorry. Directed camera is just like taking us all over the place.
I guess it's an eventful game. Shenzi going in for a trade.
Yeah, here we go. Needlework and the Grandmaster at Arms going to be used, but he flashes and still goes down. Great use of the needlework. Kimchi on Rice is just healing so much from that Gwen passive, and Shenzi's just not used to this.
Yeah, I like the idea, like the thought there with the flash on the last tick of the needlework there. Unfortunately, the execution was a bit of a disaster because he just flashed from one part of the needlework to the other, took the full damage anyway, and just ended up falling right away. It's a lot of aggression coming out of him after the first game. Maybe he's still, feeling like he's, this big monster. He needs to push his lead, but now, getting solo killed 2 times already by a Gwen who, will scale really hard as this game goes on. Not the best look for him. I mean, to his credit, both of them have been very close. It could have gone either way depending on how they're played, but now with 2 kills picked up from the Gwen, really good spot here, and 2 kills on the bot side as well. Coffee's been doing a good job, applying pressure to this bot lane. They're now a pretty big CS lead for the Jinx as well. It has to be a pretty sizable gold lead. This game is looking a lot better in the lane phase for Akuma.
Yeah, Streetside is really trying to pressure in on this mid lane, but Fluke is just nicely keeping even in farm here.
I mean, yeah, if he can stay like totally even with this Tristana and not really allow her to get stuff like tower platings, I think she's gotten like 1 so far, but it's honestly not terrible. If he can just keep, going even, this lane is going to be a very one for him, because when you have this
Shenzi actually popping the Grandmaster arms. The needlework is not available, but there's the snip coming out. Kimchi on Rice just looking for the outplay here, but the tower aggro, flashing lag and drag doesn't come in. Mr. Voice is gonna put him in the Cataclysm, and Cypher's Soul just gonna show up, see the trade 1-for-1. Not too bad, but nice turnaround by Shenzi.
Yeah, this is like the Chinese Jax or something. This guy just keeps fighting over and over again. But honestly, a really good look from him, getting the shutdown there. Coffee did have to come up and clean that one up for his top laner. But yeah, getting the shutdown there should help him a decent margin. He's definitely, not scared to fight after losing the first 2. He's just getting up, standing back up, brushing off the dust, and he's ready to go again. So I'd like to see that from him.
Yeah, trade. I feel really bad for Vision of Empire and Saber's wife, who just, every time we see bot lane, Trade is just standing there past the minion wave, daring them to walk forward and get hooked, and, 2-kill Jinx is pretty dangerous. Jinx is very aggressive early game skills with the increased attack speed. Now, Kimchi on Rice continuing to trade in onto Shenzi. Snip and Needlework are available this time. Shenzi gonna pop the Counter-Strike, nicely sidestepped away by Kimchi on Rice, making use of that Ghost to get the advantageous trade, but not enough to get a kill.
Yeah, I mean, still a lot of trading happening topside, but you have to imagine once Shenzi gets that Jax ultimate back up pretty soon, he's probably just going to be looking for another fight again. Meanwhile, Cypher Soul is able to pick up his camps, but, look at Coffee. Oh,
Ooh, there we go.
Top lane,
Grandmaster Arm's gonna be popped, and Shanzi is gonna continue chasing on forward. Kimchi on Rice trying to kite this one out, but here comes the hero's entrance! Gets the knockup, and the taunt is not gonna come through. Just a little bit too slow. Shenzi able to walk it out. Flag and drag in as the flash flay comes in from Trade. Death Sense not gonna get with Saber's wife, who's surely gonna go down, but the primordial burst trades onto Trade.
Yeah, honestly, still not terrible for the side of Akuma there. Thresh just got a little bit too caught, and of course, once Veigar hits level 6, he does have a lot of that burst. But he's still so far behind at this point that, you know, an extra kill shouldn't really change too much. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Shenzi was able to get out despite the Galio ult, so, you know, continuing to be aggressive, but so far aggression hasn't really netted him a great lead so far, because he's only farming about 5 CS per minute right now. Died 3 times already, only picked up 1 kill, and you know, looking at the other side of the map, seeing this Jinx who already has tier 2 boots and Kraken picked up at 11 minutes, so accelerated.
Yeah, Trade was looking there, but the tier 2 boots finished up for Suicide means he's going to be able to outrun that one. Kimchi on Rice now getting counter-striked on as the rocket jump in onto Fluke, looking for the dark passage. Nice escape, nice play by Trade to make sure that he's there to save the Galio. Kimchi on Rice getting shoved in as the rest of his team moving in on that Rift Herald.
I mean, yeah, they want to try and fight for these objectives just because they have the Udyr and they have all these, you know, this power, this control mage on their team. But, you know, with Trade up here, they have numbers, topside to fight them if they wanted to, and it looks like they might be looking for something here.
Yeah, they did stun up Mr. Voice, and Mr. Voice is trying to finish off the thing, and he will get Dark Passaged out. Who got that Rift Herald? It was, in fact, TDK that picks it up, and Cypher Soul who picked up the eye.
Yeah, so, I mean, pretty good for him. So far, Cypher Soul's really just been kind of farming up a storm there. Has a nice little lead so far. And now they're going to be willing to drop.
Just going to go ahead and go for the dive here onto Kimchi on Rice there. He's going to get stunned up by the bear stance, but they just don't have enough damage. The needlework just healing him up. Saber's waifu actually almost dying here. Shenzi moving forward, looking for more. The Rift Herald is available for them to drop, and they will go ahead and just drop it as they hammer away on this tower. We've seen this one before. TDK just take a full tower, but maybe this time Kimchi on Rice is able to defend better than Fluke was in game number 1. And their timbers dropped, and it's not going to be enough. Saber's waifu just drops the bear on his head, and they take him down.
I don't know what it is with Akuma trying to walk up to this tier 1 tower, walk straight into the anti-ult and just dies instantly. There's absolutely no way he could have lived there. I don't really know what he was thinking. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map,
here, the dive on Division of Empire. The wave is not in a good spot though for it, and Keyboarder just continuing to take those cues to the face. 3-side pushing in on the mid lane, and they are going to abort that dive.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Veigar is a lot of the power of Mage's Bowling comes from the fact that they just clear the waves so easily. It's really just so hard to, you know, stack waves and get dives once these mages start to get their first items, and they can kind of just blow up the wave. So staying safe down there in the bot lane, Cypher Soul was on the way if they tried to go for anything. So it was definitely the right call to call off the dive there. Either way, Keyboard is, you know, still pretty farmed up, and, you know, looking at the other team for him, you know, there are some threats, but it isn't quite the same as, you know, having like a Zac and an Rakan, a Kali, you know, staring you down late game. It's a little bit more low-key. There are some threats, but you don't have to be quite as scared with how you play. There's not as many surprises, I should say. But meanwhile, in the top side, Shenzi now actually picked up the bounty there, so looks like those tower plates and some of those kills he's going to be looking.
Here we go. Counter-Strike going to be used by Shenzi. It's not going to be an all-in. I thought it might be, just given the way that Shenzi's been playing this entire time, but with the seal caps available for Kimchi on Rice, it's actually going to be really difficult for Shenzi to take the extended 1v1s.
Yeah, he'll just need a little bit more time. He should be fine.
There's the Event Horizon going to be stunning up the trade. Flame Chomper's thrown out in response. They do have a Pocket Jarvan in the brush down there.
I mean, they know he's there, though. They saw him on the ward.
Hold on a second. Is Cypher Soul going to come in for the gank on a Kimchi on Rice? He's popped the Ghost, and he's going to get slowed up by the Needlework, however. Kimchi on Rice has his own Ghost running, and is going to be able to come back forward, looking for Shenzi, actually, as they do have the hero's entrance from Fluke on the way up. The Event Horizon going to be thrown down, pushing the wave away, and the Death Sentence just doesn't quite connect on Division of Empires. Keyboarder trying to focus down onto the tower. Dark Passage is going to be used to get out of there. The tower just so low,
Hit
but
the
not
tower
quite
and
there.
fight.
It will be there. There's the flag and drag coming forward. The Cataclysm in on the Saber's wipe, who flashes away, drops down Timbers. The Event Horizon is good, and the Teleport coming out. The Primordial Burst doesn't quite
Shenzi!
miss her voice, but it will be Shenzi who gets out with the Grandmaster on arms. Trade is on the run, and a Leaf Strike going to be coming up here fairly soon. Looking for it, will find the double kill for the Jacks.
No, what a disaster play. That was very choked by Akuma there. So Jarvan was trying to look for a play that whole time. He gets spotted on the ward, sticks around anyway. So TDK know he's down there, and they're ready to respond. They just end up walking up, trying to hit the tower, but they forget to kill the tower, and they're just able to defend that. It gives Jax time to teleport in, and chunk them out a little bit more. And you have to imagine if they were just able to stay and kill that tower, that they could have, maybe just started a fight there with the Jinx passive. But yeah, they had to overextend to try and kill that tower, and Shenzi with another 2 kills now. He's maybe not farming super well, but 4 kills on Jax does mean a lot in this game. And the tower actually does go down for the bot lane as well, so a nice little injection of gold.
Oh wait, they're teleporting behind with Fluke! Trade is already in here, looking to try and chain CC, and the Dark Passage coming out. Justice Punch is gonna connect down to Saber's Waifu. A taunt on the 2, and they're just gonna take down Saber's Waifu. Maybe! The Flay comes out, Flashboard from Keyboarder will get the kill and get excited. Death Sense not quite gonna connect with Justice Punch flashed away from by Vision of Empire. The Zap doesn't connect either, but here comes Mr. Voice, just ready to flag and drag, gets the knockup into the taunt, and that's gonna be and kill nicely picked up for Fluke.
Good answer there from Akuma. Did not want to let TDK get away with getting that tower. So they're just able to keep it behind the ward, of course, after 14 minutes. That's fair game in this, and once again, we see the bot lane of TDK fall, not really respecting the fact that they don't have a lot of mobility and safety. You can't really be that far pushed up when you're playing against these tools that Akuma have at their disposal. So they do get the tower. Both of them go down in response. They did burn the Vagar Flash trying to run away, and a little bit of a fruitless effort there. So he might be a little bit of a sitting duck coming into this next fight here, which I believe will be the Ocean Dragon spawning in just under a minute here.
Yeah, interesting pickup for Mr. Voice as opposed to the Gore Drinker, which I think has been very popular for Jarvan jungles now that he's kind of come back into flavor. Opting for the Stride Breaker, a little bit more utility. Some of those slows are generally good against these champions that don't have any dashes, such as Vigar, such as Annie, and even to a lesser extent the Udyr.
Yeah, you can't forget about the the 10% slow that Jarvan W has, one of the 2 things that ability does. But yeah, I mean, Coffee, I guess he's just not one for building conventionally. I mean, pretty much nobody builds Stride Breaker on Jarvan, but I do see it being a totally fine option for him. He did opt for, the lethal tempo as well, which, is a little bit less orthodox than the Conquer, but, it kind of makes sense. So, he's cooking up a little bit. I don't mind it at all here. But,
oh, here we go. They've already started up the dragon, and they're going to go in. Nice! Event Horizon stuns up 2, and there's Summon Timbers. The Hero's Entrance is going to come in, and the play and Cataclysm on the Cypher Soul, who flashes away. I didn't even realize he had flash, but that's a 5-man stun! But Shenzi, there's no follow-up! It's a Black and Drag, catches out 3-side. Shenzi's already gone down. Really nice fight by Akuma, but it's going to be the dragon to TDK.
Yeah, the dragon was a little bit hard to contest there, just because they had so much damage for it. By the time they wanted to start the fight, it was already pretty much over. But it looks like they were able to still catch TDK in a favorable position for them. Somehow was able to catch Udyr out with the Galio ultimate. I'm surprised they didn't just, take the dragon and kind of chill there, because another few kills going over to Jinx is getting really scary now. I mean, he's so much more fed than last game. And, Jax did find the 5-man counter-strike there, but honestly, it kind of just looked cool more than anything else, because I didn't really have any follow-up available to them. The rest of the team was rightly trying to run away and abort that play. They are going to be able to pick up, I believe, a second Herald there. They're going to be... the late Herald does help, because, if they do end up getting a Baron, that Baron Herald push can be so deadly. Yeah, I mean, 19 minutes, Infinity has picked up for the keyboard. He has to be feeling so good about his position in this game.
Yeah. I don't know. You heard it when I was talking. I was like, Cypher Soul has Ghost or Flash. Normally you see Ghost. I assume that this is just directly a response to the fact that they have Jarvan. Just so easy to shut down an Udyr with Ghost with the Cataclysm. Maybe you look for, surprise, catch the Jinx. Keyboard does of course have Cleanse, so a little bit less efficient to go for something like that. But yeah, I don't know. It looked good. for TDK, seeing they got the dragon and then the Event Horizon stunned up 2 people, but just so much wombo power and so much AoE power from Akuma that they weren't really able to deal with. No one can get into this back to access keyboarder as efficiently as they'd like to, and they end up just kind of losing the fight in spite of a nice counter-strike from Shenzi.
I mean, yeah, the needlework gets a lot of value in a lot of these fights. He's been hitting so many members as well, so him layered on top of the Jinx damage, I mean, that's the kind of the damage they were liking last game for some of these earlier fights, you know, having that big damage source top lane where he's able to get, you know, quite a nice lead off the back of gl4cia.
Alright, Mr. Voice does successfully steal away the red buff, and they will actually go ahead and Death Sense in Cypher Soul with the Flame Jumpers. He goes back in with the Flag and Drag. Cypher Soul gets the Super Mega Death Rocket and will finally go down. The Tibbers is just not able to help him out enough. Saber's waifu just has to walk away watching the jungler die, and they're going to go ahead and say, that's the Baron signal.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they maybe have to ban Thresh next game because he's just been doing way too much for the side of Akuma. So many picks there. And this one is critical. I mean, being able to pick up the jungler is just a free Baron. They can't, I mean, TDK have no chance of contesting this anymore. They can't really walk in without him. He's a lot of, you know, their front line and the pressure they're generating. And now they have Rift Herald, they have Baron, they have Jinx, who's, you know, working well towards her 3rd item, you know, picked up the Hex Drinker, so it's going to be a lot harder to get bursted out by that Vagar combo. Has the cleanse and the flash, so you can't really, you know, lock her up with the Event Horizon or the summon Tibbers or anything like that. So, I mean, Akuma are in a fantastic spot. I mean, they're only about 3,000 gold up, but they can, I have to imagine they have to be really happy with, you know, how they're sitting in this game.
Yeah, Mr. Voice does not have the Cataclysm available, but is still searching around for a Flag and Drag play with Trade ready to follow up there. Gonna get a ward dropped on his head. As Cypher Soul just trying to take away what he can. Trade, meanwhile, is going to find the Event Horizon, but will find the Death Sense as well. The Flame Chopper's coming out behind him. The box is used. A little bit early on that play from Trade means that the Flame Choppers are not going to connect, and Vision of Empire is able to flash away.
Yeah, I mean, not quite, just burning the flash there is still nice. You know, the box is on a really short cooldown, almost back up anyway. But, I mean, that's a flash that the Vagar's not going to have for this next fight. And
they're gonna go for a play on Kimchi on Rice as Shenzi's gonna go in for the counter-strike flashes to keep it on, and the rocket jump from Srisa gets the shutdown onto Kimchi on Rice.
This is a lot of what I wanted to see earlier into this game, is really abusing the fact that Tristana has, you know, full control over this lane. She can make it around pretty easily, and showing up the side lanes with, you know, the bomb and the Q, just getting out so much burst damage right away. It really turns fights. So good look there to pick off the Ogre extension on the Gwen, and picking up the
but they found Cypher Soul plays away, and they're gonna blast cone him in. I thought they would have wanted that, but I guess not enough vision. They were gonna collapse on by Vision of Empire and Srisa, so a little bit threatening as Trade gonna get found by the Event Horizon, flashes away from it. Cypher Soul moving forward. There's the zap coming out, and there's rocket jump in, looking for keyboard.
Oh, keyboarder's stuck.
They're trying to peel, and if Fluke gets in there, Saber's wife is the first kill of the fight. A double kill for the Galio as the Event Horizon goes down. Meanwhile, in the backside, Kimchi on Rice teleported behind him, and there's the stopwatch to keep him alive as Shenzi will get focused down by the remaining members. A triple kill for the Galio.
Looks good for a second there. They're able to stun up the Jinx, but with both summoners, or with the flash available, she was able to make it out of that one.
Just gets a clean pickup onto him. Trade is going to follow up with the death sentence in there, and they're going to try and go for Fluke. Whoa! Event Horizon sets him all up! He rocket jumps away! Mr. Voice is going to go for the Flag and Dragon. Street Side just keep on getting resets, but Vision of Empire now in a 1v1 up against Mr. Voice. And they'll back away.
How did that go so well? Srisa jumped straight into the Thresh. He's in the middle of 3 people. The Bloodthirster picked up and was able to sustain through the damage and kept getting the resets on top of the help of Vision of Empire. Actually trades back a few kills that fight. And you know, that might be what they wanted for this game, you know, being able to show
the smite to slow, the needlework going to be used to slow back, and they're going to go for the CC immune with the Empower Bear Stance, Cypher Soul. Now Kimchi on Rice just to turn his attention on to Saber's waifu. Nice dodge on the needlework, but the snip comes out. Kimchi on Rice gets one, and that'll be the trade. Maybe not. He's healing so much from the passive. Cypher Soul on the run will finally die to the empowered Arctic Storm.
Yeah, they didn't really want to let Gwen get away, but at the same time, you can't really let her keep getting targets to hit and heal off of. So I'm not a huge fan of how that was played, but they were able to, you know, end up getting a 1-for-1, even if it meant losing their
And
support.
they're gonna
So
look
I
for
feel
more
like if
picks. Trade pops the Shirelias, looks for the play, and Deathsentence goes wide. That's with the flag and drag. He's gonna put him in the baby cage with Cataclysm, but Srisai on the other side is just laying into him. But the
Oh my
Deathsentence
God.
from downtown connects on his Srisai, and he's gonna pay the price. Rocket picks him up. A Death Sentence in onto Shenzi. His trade is gonna try and survive. Blast comes himself into his own death in the Baron pit, and he will finally go down. Flash forward from him, but the counter strike was still channeled. But they're gonna lose their 80 carry, just left out to dry on the other side of the pit. Fluke is now gonna get caught by the Event Horizon, gonna be forced away, and Cypher Soul is just healing them all up. They're just gonna be able to pick up another one. A 3-man taunt, just gonna buy some time.
That looked like a bit of a comedy of errors there for a second. So, they first try and get the pick on the Jax. A good dodge is able to keep him alive, but I guess Tristana used her jump trying to get to the fight sooner or something, because Trade is just able to throw the hook and hit the Tristana and kind of just blow her up right away. That being said,
Stride Breaker comes down from Mr. Voice, and Kimchi on Rice is coming in with a needlework, just rips him apart. Saber's waifu gets the nice flash and drag in, a double kill for the Gwen, and we're just trading kills back and forth.
Big 2 pickup there to try and trade back some of the losses from last fight. I mean, what even happened? Like, they try and go for the wall to make sure Shenzi goes down, but at the same time, Jinx, without any of her team with her, does get picked up by the combination of the Veigar and the Udyr there, and they just end up losing a lot of their team there. But, you know, Kimchi on Ice does trade back 2 kills. I'm not even sure, you know, what the count is at this point. You know, the end result is Akuma are just about, you know, as ahead as they were before, even with those few picks. I'm not sure exactly how much that changed. You know, maybe even more kills on Gwen is scary, and Coffee has been doing so much work on this Jarvan as well. 2-1 and 14, just picked up the Guardian Angel there. I mean, yeah, really, besides a few flukes here and there, really well played so far by Akuma, as they are going to be doing this Baron right on spot.
Yeah, they take it pretty quickly with the attack speed buff from the Demacian standard with a Gwen and a Kraken Slayer. Jinx is just gone. Baron picked up by Akuma for the second time this game.
I mean, yeah, if they can get to these objectives, TDK don't really have a way in. They don't have a way to fight. And, you know, they can give over a few more, but they don't want to keep doing that. You know, Ocean Soul coming up soon would be really big. I'm going to keep picking up, and they're going to be trying to look for something in the jungle here.
Nice check with Mr. Voice on the Demacian standard. Is able to scout out and see the trap TDK we're setting up for whoever happened to walk into that brush. I want to point out the CS discrepancies on the top side of the map in favor of Akuma. Level 17 to level 14 in the top lane, a level 15 to level 13 in the jungle. This is a pretty staggering amount of stats you get for this.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Gold Blade doesn't tell the whole story. You know, Shenzi was doing a lot of fighting, missing out on some
Death Sentence from Trade. Is he going to follow up on that one? The Flame Chompers don't quite connect. Is Zap going to come around? Super Magnet Rocket is available, and they're just going to try and block. They know that it's a potential coming out. As Kimchi on Rice on a flank here. I don't think he's been spotted out. As meanwhile, Keyboarder looking for Srisai. Srisai taking a couple, 2 or 3 autos there as the Zap will get rocket jumped away from. The Shirelli is going to be popped by Trade, and now Dragon Area is recontrolled by the side of TDK, with the Cataclysm puts the Udyr in the cage. In the backside goes Kimchi on Rice, just annihilates Saber as waifu as the first kill of the fight is Cypher Soul, followed up by the Annie.
I mean, they did such a good job forcing Tristana away that she really got caught there in the mid lane. And TDK just can't hold on to that dragon. They can't be as stubborn as they were. Cypher Soul is basically the only person there, and when his team came to back him up, Kimchi on Rice was able to, you know, cut them off with the flank, clean up the job, and a really good pickup there from TDK after that. And, you know, the game state not really getting much better for them. They haven't really been able to do too much with the Annie pick yet, and the Udyr so far has been a little bit of a meatball that the side of Akuma are just able to keep getting onto and keep killing here. Not the same tanky beast was he last game on the Zac.
Alright, so Ocean Soul claimed by the side of Akuma. they're gonna take this inhibitor basically uncontested as well. They're just gotta deal with the split push from CCS, but CCS not gonna outpush 5 members with Baron. Event Horizon gonna come down. They're going to be able to sidestep away from this one as the first Nexus Tower going to fall. The Demacian Standard going to threaten the engage, but Mr. Voice doesn't commit the Q. And there's the recall coming out. Cypher still looking for it. There's the Event Horizon. It's going to be dodged away from. There's the Summon Tivers, and the Death Sense connects on to him into the Justice Punch, and they're just going to annihilate Saber his waifu. Maybe not! Finally goes down. There's the Get Excited. Streetside has rejoined the fight. Shenzi going to get flashed and auto attack. A double kill for the Jinx as Streetside rocket jumps back to safety. They're going to go for the dive in onto Vision of Empire. He'll get one with a Primordial Burst, but it'll be the ace, and it'll be game 2 going back the way of Akuma.
Yeah, really well done there by Akuma. Their trade on the Thresh, they're such an integral part of getting his team ahead, doing so much to help enable the Jarvan ganks, enable the Jinx, and you know, once it gets to this point in the game, this Jinx is so fed, so hard to deal with. And also, Kimchi on Rice, really great bounce back on that game. Picking up the solo kills there on Jax, snowballed her, and she was able to become a massive problem for TDK in these team fights. Really showing up there in that game, putting out top damage for her team, and yeah, a really great bounce back overall from Akuma.
Yeah, one of the champions that was traded between the Thresh and the Udyr was a little bit more impressive than the other. I won't say which, but one of them definitely was. But we do still have game number 3 for TDK to try and turn it back around in their favor, or Akuma Katanas can ride this momentum off of game 2 to a victory. We're going to take a short break while we get set up for that game number 3. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in just a little bit.
Some bad wishes from people that don't really understand the feeling that we have. There's gonna be some bad wishes from people that don't really understand is that we have. Oh, baby, keep loving, keep loving me.
we defend the land we conquered back in high command. I don't wanna be the only driver. Settle down today, you'll find a way.
Internet, hello and welcome back. We're here for Game 3, the final game between Akuma Katanas and Team Death Knights Blue. TDK are going to be taking the blue side, so we will be swapping sides for the first time this series, and blue side will be banning away the Thresh, so a lot of respect for Trade on after his performance in game number 2.
Yeah, that's the adaptation I like to see. He kind of just blew the game up. I'm surprised to see them opt for the Annie right away again. It looks like something that they're usually must be comfortable on. But obviously last game it looks like a bit of a liability. Maybe that was just the fact that the Thresh there going a little bit crazy. On the other side, they do actually ban away the Olaf. So the Olaf, was such a big problem in that first game. They're keeping that ban from the second game. Top lane obviously went a lot better for them. And they're totally happy to pick up Jarvan for Coffee again. And I am, totally on board with that decision. He looked so good. He was so proactive. He's really at every play he needed to. And it just looked like it fit the way they play really well. So I'm happy to see him go for that again, of course. Already into the Annie, no matter where that goes, that can be a target for him with the category.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I don't think I'd be very surprised to see Jinx. This will be the third game of Jinx for Keyboarder. Akuma really liked to play around this hyper carry. It worked out well for them in game number 2. It almost worked for them in game number 1, just a couple of misses towards the end of the game. Now TDK, they're gonna have to show what they're gonna play into this. They could opt again for the Vigar, which they played in game number 2. I don't think it went like horrendously badly, but they just didn't really get the time to. But instead it will be the Swain. We're going to be lock in the namesake of Vision of Empire. We're going to be seeing Swain, I presume, into the bottom lane.
Oh, that's Swain bot lane? That's really interesting. Swain was banned away first round, both of the earlier games. So obviously a lot of respect placed onto that pick there. But of course, banning away the Xayah now. And even with the him giving over the Swain, I don't necessarily disagree with Akuma because Xayah can just cause so many problems as a champion right now. Swain, even though it's a bit unorthodox, if you can deal with it, it's not usually as big of a threat. Did they change the art on Hecarim there? Is that
Yes,
new?
they did change the Hecarim splash art. Don't worry, you're not the only one who hates it. I think a lot of people hate it.
I was just
Akuma gonna lock in
confused.
Rakan in exchange for that. So we will be getting to see Rakan for the side of Akuma. It was picked in game number 1 by TDK. It will be paired up with the Jinx this game.
Yeah, that's right there. That's a really, really strong wombo combo team fighting core already for them. Of course, on the side of TDK, might be a little bit harder for them to get that combo off because, you have the Swain who thrives in environments where you can really, stand in the middle of a bunch of people, drain them, pop the zombies, that kind of thing. He doesn't really mind playing into comps like this. But the Silas was left open, and that's a disaster for TDK in the drafts.
Yeah, I think if you lock in Swain and the enemy mid laner is willing to play Silas, you gotta get rid of it. And now Akuma have access to a Silas with the Demonic Ascension for the Swain ultimate. This is just really, really rough for the side of TDK. They will lock in the Nautilus that will be going into, I believe, the support role, which means that this will be Annie mid.
Yeah, I think Nautilus is good because that turns the Swain Nautilus. They're going to be a kill lane into the Jinx Rakan. Nautilus is one of probably the best answers into Rakan just because if you're actually able to lock down Rakan, he's going to be pretty easy to kill. We saw a little bit of that in the first game, I believe. Yeah, Trucks picked up here. I played with a Silas player for a long time in competitive, and every time a team would blind Swain into us, we'd kind of groan a little bit and then lock in the Silas and kind of just win. It is probably just the best ultimate in the game for Silas to have, especially when he's ahead. He'll just become impossible to deal with. That being said, if he's not ahead, it shouldn't really matter too much if you're just able to burst him out and he's not able to get the same amount of damage and healing and value out of that. it can be totally fine. But yeah, Aatrox picked up here as the blind pick for top lane. I feel like I've seen him come into popularity a little bit more, and the Camille will be picked up to answer him.
Yeah. So we are the Galio ban away, in theory would be good because, Akuma do have the Jarvan, the Camille, like the two, classic combinations with that Galio that worked out for them in game number 2. But the Sylas might be a little bit more of a problem with that locked in, taking away just frankly a lot of good ultimates on the side of TDK. But of course, most notably is that Demonic Ascension for the Swain. I will say, I like the theory of TDK's team composition. You lock in the Swain when the enemy team is locking in Jarvan. I think the Rakan was something that TDK kind of expect that the Akuma Katanas would have locked in just because it's, naturally picked up and champion that that trade is willing to play. So, Swain is good when you're the team that's getting engaged on. He loves it when the enemy team engages onto him because you just pop your ultimate and stand there and they're killing themselves on you. But, gosh, I don't know. We talked about it a lot, but I feel like I can't harp on it enough. The Sylas is just such a good answer to Swain.
Now, if they're able to deal with the Sylas, they have some pick tools, they have some displacement. Maybe if they can keep him locked up for long enough, they're going to be able to blow him up. But some of the other threats, it's keyboarder on Jinx again. He's been a problem in all of the games he's picked it so far. They're totally happy giving it over to him, so it looks like they have an answer for it. I will say Swain is kind of just annoying for, stuff like Jinx to play into, because at the range Jinx likes to play at a lot of the time, that binding on Swain can come out really fast. So honestly, thematically, Swain really kind of is happy with the bot lane matchup here, so they're kind of trading. They're like, okay, let's take the Swain, they gave it over to us, and we'll have that winning bot lane matchup, but of course the Sylas answer, kind of keeping it on even footing, so we'll see, which of the stronger forces kind of wins out in this game.
Yeah, I anticipate that they'll be okay in bottom lane, just because, like you said, stylistically a good matchup for the Swain, but also, of course, you can't doubt somebody who names their summoner after a champion ability, right? You have to at least give them the presumption that they're good at this champion.
You also can't deny the fact, though, that whenever a Sylas doesn't have Swain ult, he has Nautilus ult, which you can use for pick, set up the rest of his team. He has Hecarim ult, which is an amazing ult for Sylas to pick up and fight with. It's such a powerful ability there, so he's kind of got the pick of the litter here when it comes to abilities to choose from. He doesn't necessarily even have to rely, on the Sylas or on the Swain to kind of be useful in these fights. And,
yeah, and
on the other
even
side,
the ones. Oh, go
Jarvan,
ahead.
Sorry. In the bot lane here, they have another double mage bot lane, and they're playing into Jarvan again. So they're really gonna have to respect the kind of pressure that I know Coffee is gonna be putting onto this bot lane. If Swain and Annie do fall behind, they're kind of just sitting ducks. Neither of them really have the ability to get around super easily.
So it's Annie mid,
oh,
though.
sorry.
But I get
bad.
what you're saying,
My
though.
bad.
I understand what you're saying.
Right. It's getting late. This is what happens for the 3-game series. I had to get the coffee right here to make sure that we're making it all the way to the end right there. But yeah, you're totally right. That being said, it's kind of the same idea where if you're able to get ahead of the Swain and you're able to keep diving the Swain, that's a really good way to keep him down, because he's not really a potent damage source per se, especially when he's behind. He's not going to be the ones like shredding your whole team. And you look at TDK and you can't help but think that they don't really have this scary damage source like that. Maybe if Hecarim starts to snowball, you'll see some of that out of him, but it's kind of just a bunch of beefy guys kind of throwing punches at you, so we'll see how that ends up playing out.
Yeah, I don't think I'm super concerned that TDK is not going to have enough damage. I think Swain does a fair amount. Hecarim, of course, is very, very good as he gets more items. It will be a damage threat. The main reason I'm not concerned is that Akuma don't have, they have Rakan, who's like a half enchanter, but he's not like a true enchanter. And then they also don't have a true tank. Like Camille, Jarvan are tanky champions, but they're not like Ornn, they're not like Maokai, they're not like Malphite, for example. So I do think I think this game comes down to a lot more to execution. I just think it's a lot easier for Akuma, just given the fact that their team comp has so many tools, and of course Silas with a lot of tools given away by TDK's team composition.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's either way, it's gonna be a fun, interesting game. A lot of action for both sides here. I have to imagine in this game, it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. We're gonna wait for the spectator delay now, unless you have any more words.
Oh no, I'm pretty excited to get into this game number 3. So yeah, we've talked at length about these two teams, about the last couple games, and about these team compositions they drafted. So we don't have too much more to say until we get into games. So we're gonna throw up the standby screen, give you a little bit more of a break from our faces and voices, and we'll see you back in a few minutes for game 3.
Don't go anywhere.
Would you please stay tonight? Oh, just until the morning light. Oh, and it's okay if what you want is a breakup. All I really care is that you're here when I wake up. Would you please stay tonight?
And it's okay if what you want is a
Body jumping. Would you please stay tonight? Oh, just until the morning light. Oh, and it's okay if what you want is a breakup. All I really care is that you're here when I wake up. Would you please stay tonight?
and final game between the Akuma Katanas and Team Death Knights Blue. We are gonna have these two teams kind of meet up in the mid lane, and
welcome to America.
It's gonna be the root and the pullback. First blood picked up by Vision of Empire. That's how you want to start the game if you're a TDK fan.
So I've been playing with Shady Gecko for a couple months now, and every time we have Nautilus, he asks if we want to go for the Welcome to America play, where we just all run down mid lane, and then Nautilus just goes and tries to flash hook the mid laner that runs up too far. And somehow it's just a meme, but it always works, and I'm glad to see that it has transcended to the diamond level as well, as they're literally just able to walk up and just start the game with an extra kill for basically, I mean, just a couple flashes. You have to be happy with that, and the extra boots pickup for Swain's really nice, just to help him navigate around a lot of these recon Ws that they're going to be throwing out. So really, really funny place to see there right at the top of the game.
Yep, so Saber's waifu, Flash Ignite, and the flash from Srisai will result in first blood for TDK in this game 3. Fluke, presence of mind enough not to flash away, so will successfully save that summoner, but still not ideal for how you want to start this game if you're an Akuma fan.
Yeah, I mean, Swain with kills, I mean, we've seen it before. He can become a menace, especially if you don't have the damage to deal with them. But now we see Jarvan starting up at the top side. Same with the Hecarim. Looks like both of them are going to be heading towards the bot side of the map, so letting top lane do whatever they want for a while. But they know this will be a contentious bot lane, because when they stopped banning the Swain, when they opted to ban the Xayah instead, they knew that they had to have a plan ready for it. So it looks like they're going to be wanting to cover and attack the bot lane. Vision of Empire is able to hit a few binds early on. Not too impactful yet, but I mean, the longer this game goes on, the more that ability will matter on the team fights if you can actually land it onto the right targets. Sorry, guys.
Haven't seen a Vision of Empire miss a never move yet, so good signs for TDK and for this Swain pickup. Interesting invade here.
Try and fight them in the jungle. Gets spotted by the Annie, so you will have to leave now. And at this point, Cypher Soul should just be a couple camps ahead. He's going to be looking to finish his full clear. Well, after Jarvan's
Mr. Voice looking for a play on mid. Srisai does have the stun ready. Is going to stun up one, but the Flag and Drag not going to find it, but it will find him with the Abscond of Duct, and it's going to be kill back for Fluke. I almost said first blood, because that's what I'm used to thinking.
Yeah, but that's really heads up there from the Coffee. Just being patient, walking around in the river there, just waiting for the moment for Srisai to step up too far. Really good awareness there to remember that they did not have the flash early, and just using their early fighting power of the Jarvan and the Silas to pick that up. So really good by him. It should be worth sacking the few camps that Cypher Soul will be picking up. Now, of course, now that he's pretty strong, he's actually going to be able to get quite a lot off of this, because if you check out on the mini-map, they want to try to... Looks like they're just scaring Jarvan off of doing this blue buff right away. But yeah, so leveraging some of that control that the level lead in the jungle has created for them, as they're going to be picking up this blue buff.
Yeah, jungle lead in the, or level lead in the jungle, as well as the pushing power of Swain Nautilus compared to Jinx Rakan. They have the push, so they're going to be able to pull in 2 for that Vision of Empire connecting. Blue buff is successfully smited away by Mr. Voice, it looked like. So
yeah, thanks for leash.
Yeah, not losing out on that camp. They just get a couple of extra stacks for a Vision of Empire Swain.
And right away at the top, the execution risk calling picked up for the Jarvan. A lot of the times people will, flame trying to go for, stuff like the anti-heal pretty early on, but I doubt many people would complain about it this game, because playing against Aatrox and Swain and Hecarim for, a little bit, all these characters thrive off of, the amount of healing they're going to be able to do while in fights. So just making sure he has a way to cut that a little bit in the game and help his team, fight around that. I think it's a good pickup for him early on.
I definitely agree, especially considering I doubt Mr. Voice's damage is really going to be what you need in this game. You're really just playing for Jinx and Camille to do most of the damage, I believe, in most of these fights.
And of course, the unkillable Swain ulted Silas as well.
Right, of
Um,
course.
Yeah, but now we can see that the bot lane. Ooh, big trade
Oh,
actually
really
coming in
nice
mid
trades
lane.
by Fluke there. If you land the Abscond Duct, and you're able to use the Kingslayer, get some of your health back, it's very, very good trade for the Silas. Streetsai's been pressured a little bit in this lane.
Meanwhile, on the bot side, they haven't been able to get too much yet, but you can see the amount of pressure that this lane is generating. You have to play pretty safe, and look at this.
Oh, that's a good
on
never
cue.
move into the dredge line. They're going to move forward past the Flame Chompers. Keyboard are taking a lot of damage there, but Vision of Empire a little bit low on HP, and the Abscond of Duck connects.
Oh, good
Streetsai
flash.
flashes away from the Flag and Dragon. In goes Cypher Soul. A flash away from Mr. Voice. We'll get them out to safety, so it's a flash on Streetsai traded for that of Mr. Voice.
So yeah, I mean, that was a good trade bot lane. The thing is, Swain doesn't really have the amount of damage he needs to solo out an AD carry at this point in the game. So it doesn't matter too much. They smartly hold on to their summoner spells there, and they're both going to take resets, so it shouldn't matter too much. On the other side, just being able to burn off that flash from the Annie again will make her a good target, especially now as the Silas is ticking up to level 6 here, and Jarvan's going to be looking for those ganks.
Yeah, Streetsai, really getting a lot of attention from Mr. Voice this game, but died the one time, is successfully able to flash out from the second gank. But all of that attention means that Cypher Soul actually has fairly sizable CS lead up over Mr. Voice, is clearing fairly efficiently. This is kind of what you want as Hecarim for the most part.
Yeah.
You want to be able to farm up really hard and just come out of the jungle
Oh, Shen
just
Zi fighting
with a big
someone
lead
in
now.
top lane.
Shen Zi is just hammering in onto Kimchi on Rice. The hook shot meant that that kill was very unlikely to happen, but asserting a little bit of dominance there.
Yeah, I was about to comment on the fact that this top lane is way more even and honestly way more peaceful than.
Oh, Streetside
the
going for an
Abscond
aggressive
Duct connects,
ward
but
means
he's
that he gets
dead.
Abscond abducted by Fluke, but Tibbers plus Ignite, I think Fluke wasn't really prepared for the extra damage and the anti-heal from Ignite from Streetside. Ends up just getting a quick solo kill with the first bear drop.
Yeah, I like the thought, the aggression coming out from Fluke, but that did look a bit trollish because Annie's just able to drop the Ignite and the ultimate right away and kind of pick up that kill. So gonna be happy going over with that. Rakan is actually gonna be
Wow,
caught here
Trade
now
taking
that
a
Vision
ton of damage there. Vision of Empire
of
coming
Empire
forward with
has
the
the
demonic
ultimate.
ascension, flashes forward and just sucks him dry. Keyboarder is gonna get pushed back under his tower, and Vision of Empire, Flash and Ghost traded for Flash and Ignite of trade, and it's a kill again for the Swain.
Yeah, they have so much CC in this bot lane, and that's kind of what Rakan really can't play into. If you're looking for the one thing that really shuts him down, if you can lock him up, prevent his mobility, he's a pretty easy character to end up taking down after that. So good from them to land the chain CC there and pick up the kill. Meanwhile, like you were mentioning before, Hecarim's been farming up a Storm, and this is what I really like to see when you pick Hecarim. A lot of people will go for like a tank or more utility-driven Hecarim and try and play for their lanes because he does have, pretty good ganks and whatnot, but the real strength of this character is if you can farm and keep snowballing. And it looks like he's going for the Manamune build, so I have to imagine that's what he's going to be wanting to do in this game.
Yeah, Trade is just getting pushed out of his own jungle again by the trio of Cyber Soul, Vision of Empire, and Saber's Waifu. And, all things considered, Jarvan is a great champion, very powerful. Meanwhile, can she use the hookshot there? Shen Zi did miss out on the Infernal Chains, so not going to be too much, but he does have the third a cube coming back up, and the Q3 dodged away from by the Hextech Ultimatum, but do they have the damage? Hookshot dodged away! Shen Zi looking for a Kimchi, does get the slow off on the W with a tactical sweep. Kimchi on Rice looking for another hookshot. Shen Zi going to have his Qs back up soon, but they're both so low, and one misplay could mean a solo kill. Oh, but you do see Saber's Waifu making his way down, or up to that top lane, and you also got Streetsai on the way in. Saber's Waifu gonna flash for the depth charge to follow up. Dredge line gonna come out too. It's gonna be the auto attack. He gets the magic damage shield, and Streetsai looking to finish him off. Just drops the bear, and that'll be another kill for TDK.
Yeah, these top lane fights are such a banger. I feel like every game they've just been so close back and forth, but Shen with his team behind him able to come up and just pick up that kill there. I don't think Kimchi on Rice was ready for the Nautilus roam right there, as he's just able to kind of walk in and get the dredge line down onto the Camille, and giving that kill over to the Annie helps a lot. That's now 4 sacks on the Darksteel. She's starting to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, wow. Really, really close fight. Both Kimchi on Rice and Shenzi played that fairly well. A couple of missed abilities, namely the hookshot from Kimchi on Rice and the one of the earlier Qs from Shenzi, mean that neither of them go down. It's a very, very close fight, and both of them are a little bit too afraid to go for the final bit of damage once their abilities come back up. But Nautilus and Annie coming in, that's a little bit of extra power for Shenzi, and Kimchi on Rice does end up going down. Saber's wife, who did invest Flash for that, and as a result of all of that, Mr. Voice is able to solo out the dragon on the bottom side.
Yeah, good pickup there. Like I said, just going for those soul win conditions, you know, when you have the opportunity, frees up a lot of your options later into the game more than anything else. And just getting some control in this bot side is nice, you know, playing against something.
Oh, flag and drag into this Cataclysm. Meanwhile, on the top side, Kimchi on Rice and Shenzi are just fighting it out. It looks like Street Side flashed away from the Cataclysm, and a stolen Onslaught of Shadows for Fluke will dissuade any further aggression from Cypher Soul and Street Side.
Yeah, I have to say, we're getting completely griefed by directed cam in some of these games. Our mid lane gank got interrupted by a small train in the top side. But yeah, I guess it looks like they burned Annie Flash there, so, you know, once that tool is down, that kind of stops her from being able to play as aggressive as usually she wants to.
Ooh, nice flag and drag. Will get the knock up onto Shenzi, who pops the Ascension here. Is Shenzi gonna go for some damage here? Fighting in onto Kimchi on Rice, and the Onslaught of Shadows doesn't get a fear, but it will separate them, and Kimchi on Rice is gonna go down.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of
Oh, Cypher Soul picks up tower aggro, though. He's going to take a lot of damage here. Mr. Voice flag and drags out the safety as Shenzi and Cypher Soul push him away, and he's going to get the Krugs for his troubles. Have Srisai in the backside, ready to follow up on this one, as Vision of Empire moving forward, looking for a never move onto somebody, is just going to push him away from the wave.
Yeah, maybe a little bit over eager in the top side. Just Camille and Jarvan don't quite have that damage to deal with the Aatrox once he pops the ulti, so... they kind of just had to leave. Unfortunately, Camille kept fighting for a little bit longer. Cypher Soul's able to pick up a kill there. And you have to imagine this guy's sitting on a lot of gold, because he kind of just has boots and tier right now, versus Coffee's completed Chainsword. So once he picks up this red buff, and maybe he might head back to his blue side, he's going to have a nice little recall waiting for him there.
Yep, Rod of Ages picked up for Srisai. A couple minutes ago, actually. 2-1 and 1, a tiny bit accelerated. About, I would say that's a little bit earlier. And hold on a second, as Kimchi on Rice is just getting jumped on by the jungle and mid. Ow, is Srisai just everywhere?
Yeah, this Annie in the mid lane starting to become a bit of a problem.
Oh, nice never move. He's gonna come forward there, but yeah, like you're talking about, Srisai's just kind of been first to a lot of these plays, moving towards top, moving towards bot, and just ends up getting another kill onto Kimchi on Rice. Really, you know, he's falling behind in CS, but not absurdly so, not any more so than Kimchi on Rice has been put as a result of his roams.
I mean, at this point last game, Coffee was able to have a lot more done, a lot of it off the back of the trade Thresh, who's able to set up so many picks for him, but I mean, his mid laner's kind of been dying when he's around mid. His top laner's kind of been, you know, losing when he's around top. So he doesn't really feel like he has a play to go for basically anywhere other than maybe onto the Annie if they can get the jump on her. But they've kind of done a good job of, you know, respecting a lot of this Jarvan's potential. And so far, Cypher Soul, with his farming, is able to not only, you know, get a pretty accelerated lead, 2 levels, which is pretty big considering a lot of the jungle XP changes recently. But also he's picked up a lot of farm here as well, so he's going to be really strong once he gets his recall off eventually, still sitting on Ionian boots and tier at the moment. You know, with Dragon coming up, you have to imagine he's going to recall soon for something there, but yeah, he's just been able to get a lot more done this game, and that's off of the back of a lot of pressure that his
Oh,
bot
just
lane's been
picks up
able to
full
do.
on Spear of Shojin.
Just
So,
straight buys it, swag buys it. I respect that.
This is gonna be helicopter Earth Hecarim pretty quickly here. This is gonna be a dragon spawning right about now. Does have the tier in the inventory, so we'll be going for the Muramana as his second item, presumably. This is kind of scary for Akuma to fight over, but they do have the ace in the hole, of course. The Silas with a stolen demonic ascension, if they can get him an opportunity to steal that away before this fight starts. But it looks like total control of the area in spite of the Scuttle Crab and the control wards dropped by Akuma. They're not able to defend any of it, and TDK just bullied themselves into the river. Dragon gonna be secured, the Super Mega Death Rocket used just to see, and now Trade is gonna get pulled in by the Dredge line. We'll be able to battle dance out to safety. But not great for Akuma.
Yeah, it kind of looks like they were posturing, like they didn't really want to give it up, but they kind of knew, like, deep down that they just couldn't really fight it in the position that they were. So you just end up sitting around, waiting for them to take it, which is never feels too good. I mean, they're only down by 5 kills, but, like, look at this gold difference already. 16 minutes in, and it's greater than a 5k lead here, just off of the back of, top lanes winning, mid lanes winning, basically on their own, and Cypher Soul's been able to come and be a benefactor of that. He's able to farm, grab the kills when they're ready, and of course the bot lane with the Swain and the Nautilus.
Oh, this might be a dive. Cypher Soul wants to dive with the Onslaught of Shadows if they go for something here. They've also got Srisai on the way down. Mr. Voice has snuck his way down there as Trade is going to pop the quickness. Fails the flanking drag! Trade is going to go in, gets the charm onto them, and Srisai comes in from behind, drops the bear on their heads, and there's the Onslaught of Shadows, just CCing them all, and Fluke stole the wrong ultimate. He goes in with a depth charge and he doesn't get a kill. A triple kill for the Swain, and 4 in total for TDK.
Akuma have to just be sick to their stomach after that play. What a disaster. It's almost like everything went wrong. It looked like Cypher Soul was trying to bait, like, a play from the enemy team, and it ends up working out, like, even better than he might have thought. Trade going and trying to set up the play, but the Jarvan combo doesn't connect, so he doesn't get over the wall, can't contribute. The teleport comes in, and he just ends up dying. Meanwhile, they have no idea where Annie is. He's just able to run up behind them, instantly kill 2 people with Tibbers, and that's just a swift 4 for 0, and all of a sudden, it was like a 6k gold lead a second ago. It's just turned into almost a 10k gold lead here, only at 18 minutes in, and I mean, things are looking super grim already. Keyboarder hasn't really been able to do anything. Coffee hasn't really been able to do anything, and the solo lanes have been kind of getting, their butts kicked in. So it's looking pretty grim here already for Akuma.
Yeah, poor Kimchi on Rice though. To see all of his teammates die at the same time, he's like, well, I mean, I'm up here, but what am I gonna do? Shenzi is fighting me. I still have to be afraid of, Srisai just showing his face up here again. They are going in and Dredgeline gonna connect onto Fluke, and he just gets chain CC, but he successfully stolen the Demonic Ascension. Is gonna be able to back away. The Tibbers was dropped at the very end there, but Fluke was able to survive with that extra HP from that Swain ultimate.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Tibbers just being used to zone them away. Srisai happy to tank up the tower for the few extra hits they need.
This isn't the Swain powered up Silas, destroying everyone that I was kind of imagining in my head. He's just able to cowardly take this Swain ultimate, pop it for an extra however much health, and like limp out of there barely, probably missing a limb or two. But I mean, yeah, the side of TDK is kind of just able to bully Akuma around, and Akuma just don't have a response. I mean, their ADC just doesn't do any damage to this absolute beef squad that is the side of TDK. When these champions get gold, they're so hard to deal with, and I mean, I don't know how TDK...
Oh, they're gonna go in for this. Mr. Voice is gonna go in the flag drag, doesn't commit a cataclysm, but the net charge in onto the Swain, or the Silas, dodges away from the never move with the abscond. So, Swain ultimate invested, as well as the Nautilus ultimate. They don't lose anybody, but man, Akuma just, they can't really force anything in spite of all those cooldowns being down. Nice wait on Kimchi on Rice as he goes in with the X-Tech ultimatum on the Shenzi, pops the World Ender. Here comes Fluke up to the top side. Super Death Rocket will finish the kill. A nice kill up for Akuma, but a very, very small consolation prize for the 9k gold deficit they're currently in.
Yeah, that's about as good of a win as you can really hope for from Akuma. being able to burn off the Swain ultimate with, a little bit of a half-assed engage. You know what, great, we'll just walk away and take it. We didn't really want to fight anyway. Sorry. But they do end up, looking for the proactive play in the top side as the entirety of TDK kind of backed off after that play. They figured Shenzi was a little bit overextended. The kill going over to Jinx is really nice, but as you can probably tell, she's basically a full item behind the Swain, who's just so unbelievably accelerated from this point. It's going to be a long time before Jinx is really going to be able to do anything in these fights. Even then, with the threat of like Annie just being able to flash on top of you if that ever happens, if they ever, click the line on you, or if Hecarim ever comes in, then it can be really hard to play no matter how many kills you get. So, I mean, small consolation, but things still not looking great here for Akuma.
That's kind of scary, and they're gonna go for this. Immediately gets spotted out by Vision of Empire. Shenzi gonna come down, try and contest this one as he's fighting Kimchi on Rice. Gonna have to jump over the wall here. As Streetside might be the focus. Flashes away from the recombo. Mr. Voice flashes to follow and can't get in range for the Cataclysm. It's so tragic for Akuma. Their plays just aren't working. And here comes Cypher Soul going in with the Onslaught of Shadows. Go into the backline and right out the other end. Here comes Streetside coming around. Fluke is gonna pop the World Ender. And a Death Charge knocks up 3. Fluke goes down. Streetside goes unstoppable. The Cataclysm puts the horse in the cage. And Mr. Voice is just gonna get focused down. Lock it on good measure for Cypher Soul. And Vision of Empire just perma-slowing him with the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Never move, pulls in keyboarder, and he's just gonna die a slow death. Goes in, and dies. There it is.
Yeah, I really have to say I do like the proactivity there from Akuma, because, from this point in the game, there has to be something drastic if they want to pull it back. And that was, that was a good attempt. There was only 2 people up towards the top side. Shenzi was the only one, really the one that was super close by. But they opt to go for the turn and try and find the pick. And the problem with this is that they didn't. They failed. Jarvan flashed forward, they found nothing. So not only did they not get the pick, they lost one of their primary engage tools, and they're extremely out of position. So now, after the entirety of TDK finally shows up to the play, they just all end up dying, they lose the Baron, and this game is completely doomed.
Yeah, 12,000 gold lead. They're just gonna take the dragon for good measure. But yeah, Akuma, they're in dire straits now. Yeah, like you said, good attempt. If you go for the Baron, your chances of winning are pretty low, but they're pretty low to begin with. So maybe this is your, not a high percentage play, but maybe it's your best percentage play. Flame Chopper is going to go in onto Shenzi as soon as he finishes the teleport off, and Trade going to go in with the quickness as well. They're going to try and finish him off, and Keyboarder's just going to get sold! Shenzi in a 1v3 is continuing to survive. The Flag Drag's not up, and Shenzi's still alive. Saber's waifu look for the dredge line. The Flag Drag comes out, and Shenzi is just healing so much. The lock and shield on top of it from Saber and his waifu, and what looked like a 1v3 ends up being a 5v3 after your only damage dealer dies in the 1v3.
Call an ambulance, but not for me. That's the Aatrax way. I mean, if you can't get a pick on him, who is by far, at this point, probably the least threatening member of the team, Death Knight's team, and it goes like that, I mean, that's just, it pains me, because I feel like the plays that they're looking for, they're good, they're smart, they're what they have to go for, but every time they just go as badly as possible, so you have to imagine Akuma, after this game, they're going to be feeling a little sicker.
Alright, he's gonna try. Mr. Voice is ready to come in. That's a good knock up on the 2, and will deny them the Flag and Drag. The Cataclysm not available. Neither is the quickness, so, whatever's posturing they're making, it's a full-on bluff. There's Trade getting stunned up, is gonna take about half his HP for his troubles, as they're just gonna force their way onto the inhibitor. The Kimchi on Rice is still in the bottom lane, who does just finish his recall, and they're gonna rotate up towards that top lane.
Yeah, CDK playing it smart, playing it how they should. They're not in any rush to end the game here because they're just so disgustingly far ahead. Just making sure there's just not an opportunity for Akuma to layer the small amount of damage that they have, and maybe look for something that way. But yeah, I mean, it's Akuma had an incredible, performance last game, and some really strong showings in the first game, despite falling behind so early. But yeah, it feels like nothing has been going their way this game. They're trying to look for maybe some kind of miracle that can put them back here, but I mean, yeah, so far the standoff is a little bit slow. TDK is just going to try and walk this wave in. They have inhibitor minions pushing it in the mid lane now, and you have to imagine this is going to be the final fight of the game.
Yeah, Mr. Voice has a standard, will not connect onto it as the Hecarim ult is the one of choice to be stolen away. I'm not sure if the Swain ultimate is not available at this time, but or maybe they just really need to look for some engage, but they are going to be denied it as the tower goes down. The members of TDK will take their recall, spend some of that gold, and AKM or Akuma is just stuck. They don't really know, like, every play they've made this game has just backfired on them. And I think a lot of it has to do with just how unfortunately bad that bottom lane play went.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're kind of hoping that maybe, just maybe, TDK would make some kind of overextension there and get caught out, but TDK, they've been playing super.
Ooh, and Trade is gonna get caught by the dredge line.
Yeah.
He's just gonna get full on taken down. Just nice chain
Cypher Soul
CC
still
from
looking.
Saber as waifu and Vision of Empire as Cypher Soul forces Kimchi to hook shot out the other side.
I mean, yeah, but you have to be at least impressed with how TDK not only have they been kind of running over a lot of these fights, they've been playing super, super smart. They have not really given over much of anything to the other team outside of, a kill on a flashless Annie early, but they've been the ones, in control the whole time. They've given nothing to Akuma, nothing they could even use to hope for a chance in this game. Really, really clean gameplay so far by TDK.
Yeah, they really kept their foot on the gas on this one. As the flash dredge line is going to force the flash out of keyboard, or as Vision of Empire going to pull in one, the flag and drag into the backside. They're going to look for it. They're going to try and focus on Shenzi. He will be the first kill of the fight, but they're just getting annihilated by the demonic ascension from Vision of Empire. Fluke is trying to survive, but in the backside, Cypher Soul is just ripping him apart. The Serrated Dork on top of the double mana AD items, a triple kill for the Hecarim, and the game for TDK.
Yeah, good night. TDK statement game number 3. A little bit of a hook in there, but they just could not get through once they were that far behind in that game, and that was honestly a super, super clean game from TDK, bouncing back after their loss last game, after a loss that really honestly didn't look too good for them. They fell super far behind in a lot of their lanes. We saw a lot of power from the side of, the top lane in the first game, but in the second game, the Jax wasn't really able to do too much. Their bot lane was kind of getting destroyed by the Thresh, but they're able to, hunker down, settle down a little bit, reconvene, gather themselves, and ban away the Thresh. And after that, they got their hands on the Swain that they wanted, putting in top damage there for them that game, and they just looked so cohesive and played really well in this last game here to bounce back and take the series 2-1 over Akuma.
Right, yeah. Really nice game 3. Games 1 and 2, a little bit back and forth. But game 3 just TDK the whole way. I'm not sure. I don't have confirmation on whether we are going to have an interview with one of the victorious members of TDK. Just waiting on notes from production on that one. All right, so I've been informed that we will not be interviewing tonight, just because we started the series a little bit late. It went to all 3, banger games. Don't get me wrong, and congratulations to TDK on that victory. But we just do not have the time for an interview at this time. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Yeah, next week on Wednesday.
Thanks for everyone who's stuck around. I know it's a late series, but it was a lot of fun. I'm happy to be here casting alongside Agent A2.
Yep, it's been AgentA2, it's been Glacial. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll wish you all a good night.